All right, we're on record for our fourth review and a permanency planning hearing. May I have the names of our participants, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer guardian ad litem.
Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department.
Macy Moore, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Michael McFarland, representing mother.
Christina Lemley, mother Kenzie.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ariel Berger here on behalf of Bob.
Mr. Wright, could you introduce yourself, please?
Matthew Wright, father.
Thank you so much. All right, Ms. Underwood, let's go to you first for your report whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet with the minor child at her placement before the 4th of July holiday. She's continuing to just grow and thrive where she is placed. She's walking everywhere. She's showing me her toys. She's making animal sounds when asked. She will point to colors and objects when reading her a book. She's very bright, growing and just continuing to thrive where she's at. She doesn't have a preference on placement since she is just a year old, but she's doing very well. She's familiar with her caretakers. They're able to provide her with all of her needs. When I was there, the other placement, I believe Jason is, he's the husband of Dawn, and the child saw him and just started waving her hands and screaming hi and bolted right to the barn because she wanted to go hang out with the pigs. So she's just really loving where she's at. She's, like I said, she's very loved there as well. And her needs continue to be met where she's placed. I would recommend that the court continue that placement as it is in her best interest and least restrictive, considering the circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. Testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Yes, Sharon, I'll ask Ms. Moore to provide her report.
Ms. Moore, come on up to our witness stand.
All right.
Just a reminder to try to avoid using the chat.
Okay, I will try my best.
Very good. Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Honor. Ms. Moore, you've provided a court report for today's hearing and included our several attachments. Are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to the main report or any of the attachments you've included into the packet?
The only update that I would have to add is that last Thursday, myself, my supervisor, Christina Lemley, and Dawn Fisher held a FTM to discuss permanency, and that went relatively well.
Okay. And is Ms. Fisher the relative caregiver?
Yes, she is.
Okay. Just want to make sure that's clear for the record. Thank you. During this review period, let's start with Ms. Lemley. How would you describe her compliance and benefit from her case service plan?
She has been complying. She has been doing what she's been needing to do, showing up to parenting times, doing things of that nature. The only concern that I have is with the Odyssey house. However, that was not her fault. That was an insurance problem that happened. She was discharged from the Odyssey program and then got into a different treatment. I'm not sure of the name. I'm sure she could inform us of that, and then got back into the Odyssey program. But I've been communicating with Odyssey House. I'm just waiting on a response back on her treatment throughout the month of June.
And parenting time, how is that going? I say she's coming to every parenting time. Are there any concerns during parenting time?
No, she's bringing the needed supplies, arriving on time, doing the visit, having KW go down for a nap.
Okay. And in your report, you were able to do a home visit where she's currently staying. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And other than providing for the child's, I guess, furniture needs, were there any concerns about the house?
There was no concerns about the house besides I was not allowed into the master bedroom because one of the person she lives with, one of her children were sleeping in that room and they didn't want to wake him up.
Okay. Miss Emily remains employed, correct?
Correct.
And are there any concerns about her sobriety at this time?
There is not, no.
What would be the risk of harm in increasing parenting time and to include any at her home?
The risk of harm, I guess what has kind of stopped that is we had requested to create a plan of how to get that done. It would obviously involve KW being in the car for a significant amount of time to get up there. And then if it was just a day visit, that's a significant amount in one day to be in the car. So we were discussing creating a plan for an overnight, but we had requested that Christina Lemley create the plan and kind of draw up a mock-up.
Okay. And has that been done or was that discussed at the family team meeting you guys had?
It has not been done, but it was reminded to be done at the FTM.
Okay. I believe that we are here on a permanency planning hearing. And you've made a timeout. Let me go back to Dad and his case service plan. How would you say Mr. Wright has done with his case service plan during this review period?
Non-compliant.
In your report, you've attached several screenshots of messages between the two of you. And it seems like there's some disagreement on how to achieve an in-person meeting or who's more responsible for that. Have you, since submitting this report, have you had any contact with him on how to work together to communicate better or go over his case service plan or the referrals?
No, the last time I had made contact with Matthew Wright is when I attempted 2 home visits to his residence.
The one drug screen that is attached in here was positive for several substances. Was that reviewed with him?
It was not reviewed with him.
And do you know if he's engaged in any type of substance abuse treatment?
He has not, as far as I'm aware.
Were you able to contact Miss Moore, Brene Moore, to determine whether or not he had reached out to her to start the service for reintroduction to the child?
There has not been any contact or a release sign.
There was also a referral in the packet that you've included for domestic violence counseling with John Bailey. Do you know if that's started at all?
Same thing, either no release or has not started, not able to inform me.
One of the things you've noted in your report are maybe conflicting positions between the parents. Mr. Wright has indicated or questioned whether him and Miss Lemley could plan together. And Miss Lemley, I guess, has not asked that same question. Do you have any updates on their relationship status or their intentions?
I do not have any direct updates. Miss Lemley reported that she dropped off dog food to Matthew Wright's house. I'm not sure when, a couple of weeks ago, but beyond that, I am not sure. I expressed my concerns of the relationship to Miss Lemley, but beyond that, I do not have much of an update.
Your report indicates that you would be asking the court to make a goal change for a concurrent goal of perhaps adoption or guardianship at this time. Can you explain why you would ask the court to make that request, or why you would request that of the court at this time?
Yes, I would request that from the court at this time, just based on the stagnant that we've kind of hit. We have no transportation. We're not showing up or following up on medicals. We have employment, but the employment's not sufficient income to meet both her and her child's needs. The contact with Matthew Wright really concerns me. At the contact I had with Matthew over the phone, he had stated that somewhere along the lines, Christina had said that she's just gonna do the work and he can sit back and then they can get back together after the case. So that is my major concern.
Is the care, to the best of your knowledge, is the caregiver willing to accept the responsibilities of a guardian, or are they more prone to wanting to provide permanence through adoption?
I believe they would be willing to do anything.
Okay. I think you touched on this a little bit in your report, but have the caregivers indicated whether parenting time or the child experiences any changes in behaviors or her status quo or her norm after parenting time?
Yes, they have reported that she is dysregulated from Thursday evenings until about Saturday mid-afternoon evening time, and that she's just very clingy and attached to the caregivers during that period of time.
And can you please remind me if there's been any parent education or aid, like the foster care supportive visitation, implemented in this case?
It has not been implemented. She was getting on a wait list. So it got very confusing mixing around counties. So she originally got on a wait list for, I can't recall which county, and then we moved it to Saginaw. I have to follow up on that because she has been on the wait list for a while now. So I would have to follow up and see where she's at on that list. So the wait list was done. She was on a wait list, but I need to follow up on it.
All right. And as relates to, I'm sorry, I just want to kind of go through the reasonable efforts here. As relates to the transportation assistance, are you still providing, is the agency still providing Ms. Lumley with gas cards for parenting time?
Yes, we are typically providing them every other week. This last time though, it was 3-week gap between the last time.
Okay.
But typically it's bi-weekly.
As relates to the DNA testing, has there been any progress on that?
There has not. I actually brought the DNA testing kit with me to court today, but Mr. Wright did not attend in person.
Has either parent engaged in a psychological evaluation?
Yes, Christina Lumley did.
Okay. And has she complied with the recommendations from that evaluation?
Yes, she has.
Have you discussed budgeting with Ms. Lumley?
We have slightly hit on it. She completed a financial income worksheet last week at the FTM, but creating a full budget has not been done, but I would be willing to do that.
Your report indicates that, and I believe that we've already discussed on the record, that there are other children, I believe that are, both of their parents are Ms. Lumley and Mr. Wright, in a guardianship in another county. To the best of your knowledge, have either of the parents complied with the parent treatment plan or the parent visitation plan that would accompany a guardianship for the minor children?
As far as I'm aware, Matthew Wright has not complied at all. And then I believe Christina Lumley does infrequent phone contact, but beyond that, I am not aware of anything.
Okay. And at this point in time, has this child, subject to this case, had an opportunity to meet with and or establish a relationship with those other siblings?
Oh, absolutely. I think the two families meet up bi-weekly, if not weekly, if they're able to. They talk on the phone probably multiple times a week if I think about it. And then the two older children very much benefit from those visits, from what is reported to me.
Is there anything from the report that you'd like to highlight or anything from your knowledge of the case that you'd like the court to know?
There's not anything in my report, but something that I had thought of while you were questioning me was Christina had reported that she actually is obtaining a one-bedroom apartment, and she is hoping to obtain this within the next 2-ish weeks. So that is something that we will be waiting for as well.
And do you know if that will still be in the Saginaw area?
Yes, it would.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that update. Your Honor, with that, I have no further questions of Ms. Moore and move to admit the court report.
Objection.
No objection.
No objection.
Thank you. They are received. Questions for this witness, Ms. Berger?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Miss Macy, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. You had mentioned that you had 2 attempted home visits with Mr. Wright. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And what happened at those visits? Were you not able to make contact?
The first time we arrived at the home, we made contact with who I presume to be the homeowner. They were inside of the house in the front. She had told me to jump the gate and go into the back and get him. On the gate, it had a no trespassing sign, so I was not going to do that. So we had left. I notified Mr. Wright of our departure. We were actually going to a different home visit a little farther away, so we were able to stop at his house again on the way back to the office per his request. I had requested he come up to the gate because there again was a no trespassing sign on the gate. He did not do so, so we waited 5 minutes, honked the horn. Nobody came forward, so we left again.
Did he message you that he was on the property?
He did, yes.
Did he say where he was at on the property?
He said he was in the barn behind the gate.
Okay, and even though the homeowner gave you permission, you didn't feel like you were able to go and talk to him in the barn?
No.
And why is that?
This home had trash on the outside of it. The gate was like, I truthfully don't even know how to open this gate. There was a no trespassing sign in the front of it, and there were 2 campers. So I was kind of unknown of what I was walking into, and it's not really able to be seen from the road either.
Okay. And did you have somebody else with you from the agency?
Yes, I had my supervisor, Kristen Smith, with me.
And have you been able to provide any help with transportation for Mr. Wright?
I offered gas cards to Mr. Wright.
And does he have a vehicle?
I believe he does, but I am unaware. It seems like it works and doesn't work.
Does he have a driver's license that you know of?
He does not.
So how would a gas card help him?
When we were at the property, we saw 2 people leaving in a truck from his premises. So I would imagine that he could ask the people he's staying with for a ride, and we could provide them a gas card.
Okay. Would the agency be able to provide him with like Dial-A-Ride or Uber or anything like that?
I could look into it. I am not for certain on a direct answer right now, but I could definitely look into it.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you very much.
Mr. McFarland?
Your answer regarding my client's compliance in the other guardianships, did you ask my client what she was doing to comply with the other guardianships?
No, I have not.
How do you get your information as to what she's doing or not?
Through the placement.
You intend to ask my client what she's doing to comply with those?
I can if you would enjoy me to, but I don't. It's not this case, so it's not necessarily my information to get into.
Well, you didn't fire about it though, right?
In a way,
Okay. Do you understand that my client has to wait 6 months, which will expire in October, for her to have full-time employment where she's located? Do you understand that?
yes,
So very soon, she probably will have full-time employment. Do you understand that she's renting a vehicle to come down here for these court hearings? It's a 3-hour drive. Do you understand? So even though she doesn't have a vehicle, she's able to secure transportation, correct?
correct,
She's also volunteered to drive all the way down to Adrian for visits also, correct?
volunteered in a way, yes. It was court ordered at the last hearing that KW didn't have to go back up to Saginaw anymore, so that is what made the change.
Right. So is she getting visits down here then?
Yes,
What substances did father test positive for?
I'm not sure off my mind, but I can look into the court report if you would like me to.
Didn't recall, so I thought maybe you did. Okay.
Amphetamine, methamphetamine, and THC.
I
Just looked at it.
thank you. Remember the THC. Thank you. My client has a dog at father's place. If she was just there to feed her dog, is there an issue with that?
The issue is speaking with Matthew, right? Is the issue that I have.
She indicated she had a conversation with him?
She initially denied it and then indicated it, yes.
What is the issue if she's not planning concurrently with him? I mean, they have a child together. What's wrong with her talking if they're planning separately?
Yeah, so my concerns are that Matthew has flat out asked me if they are able to plan together. She had reported herself that she will love him till the ends of the earth. Matthew has reported that the thing that I testified to earlier, that she is going to do all the work, he can sit back and relax, and then they're going to get back together at the end. So those are my concerns when it relates to Mr. Wright.
Well, that's what father's reported, correct?
Correct.
My client's not reported that she's going to get back to him, correct?
Correct.
She's not reported that she's going to do all the work and let him just live off of her, correct?
Correct. She could send dog food through like the mail service or food delivery, things of that nature.
You own a pet?
Do I own a pet? No.
Sure. My understanding that the program that she's waiting for up in the Saginaw area, as you indicated, that's not her fault. It seems to be between the counties. That delay is not based upon her, correct?
Are you talking about the parenting education?
Yes.
Correct. It's not her fault.
So what progress is she not making that would want you to advocate for something other than reunification after she's come so far?
Like I said previously, it's the stagnicity, if that's a word. I believe, in my opinion, that yes, she has obtained sobriety, but she is not necessarily putting KW on the first priority list. I think her sobriety is top priority, which is good. But I would like to see the shift to KW being the priority, like asking for more parenting time. She has yet to do so. Calling the doctor's office after a doctor's appointment, things of that nature is what I would like to see.
Is she been invited to participate actively at these appointments through the internet?
Well, in a way. So she was invited to the appointment, but it was scheduled early in the morning and we weren't able to reschedule it. So she was offered to call the doctor's office to get an update from the front desk. And I called them for the day after the visit. I called them, and then I called them a week later to see if she ever called for the update, and they reported that she didn't. The only reason she was not invited via Zoom or telephone is because the doctor's office is behind the old hospital. So there's like 0 cell phone service. So we wouldn't be able to do a Zoom at the doctor's office because there's no service.
I call from back there all the time at the nursing home. What cell phone service are you unable to use?
I have Verizon. I don't know what the placement has.
Have we attempted a FaceTime or anything with my client live? Have you tried that?
Like during a doctor's appointment?
Exactly.
No.
Can you do that?
We can attempt to. Do you have a backup plan if the call does not go through? Would you like us to just ask her to call the front desk like we did last time?
I was gonna say, they probably have a landline that she can listen in
Okay.
and just put it on speakerphone, correct?
I don't know.
Oh, you can ask, right?
I can ask, yes.
Nothing further.
Okay, Ms. Underwood, any questions?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return your seat.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Berger?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
My client would like to testify.
Okay, come on up to our witness stand.
How would you like me to address you today?
Fine.
You understand the father of your child, Mr. Wright, is using controlled substances and you are currently going through a controlled substance program, right?
Mhm.
Is that
Correct.
yes? You understand the agency doesn't want you to have any contact with him, correct?
Correct.
Is there somebody else that can keep your dog other than Mr. Wright?
At this point, no. Where he does really well with people and children, he does not do well with other animals. Everybody that I know has dogs. That's why I haven't taken him back yet, is because where I was currently living, they have a small dog, and it would just not be a good situation to have both of the dogs in the same location.
You're looking into a new apartment, correct?
I'm working on, should be moving in this week.
They allow pets.
They do. I checked with that before I signed the lease.
Plan to bring your dog up there.
It is.
After that, is there any reason for you to have any contact with Mr. Wright whatsoever, knowing the position of the agency?
No.
You want to have contact with him down the road, knowing that he's still testing.
If he could test clean and, get himself together, we do have 3 children together. So, I mean, in communication in regards to that, yes, but not in any form if it was going to challenge or jeopardize my sobriety or, my life with my kids.
That seems to be the concern of the agency. You understand that, correct?
Yes, and I have told Ms. Moore and her supervisor, the 2 different conversations that we've had, that the plan is that when I was in a spot where I could regain possession of my dog, that was the plan, and then that was it, and that was all.
Tell me about employment. It sounds as though you can be employed full-time through the Odyssey House. They allow you after 6 months, which will expire in October. Is that correct?
No, not the Odyssey House. I'm employed through Home Depot.
Okay.
Yeah, once you stay a part-time associate for at least the first 6 months, and then you have the ability to move to what they call a pro associate, which would be a full-time.
I see. So it's a Home Depot's requirement, not the Odyssey House.
Yes, yeah,
Is that what you intend to do?
yes. I'm currently in the process of cross-training over through multiple departments. I'm in the process of getting and gaining my, heavy equipment certifications so that I'll be able to do loading. And then once I can cross-train across all the departments and get all those certifications and I hit my 6 months, I am then have the ability to graduate to a pro associate and have full-time.
Now, you're renting vehicles to come down here, correct?
Correct, every week.
3-hour drive,
Mhm.
6-hour round trip. Is that yes?
Yes, sorry.
6-hour round trip?
Yep.
Coming down here for visits, correct?
Yes.
How frequently can you do that?
Right now I'm doing okay with being able to, support myself up there on top of the rental once a week.
I understand the agency would like you to be down to visit your daughter in person more frequently. You understand that?
Yes.
How do you think that can be accomplished?
I mean, I'm more than willing to make the attempt, but the problem is having to take the whole entire day out is a whole entire day that I can't work, which is then less money brought in, which is then less money towards the cars to get down here.
Well, I guess the question is, if you're only working 15 hours a week, that's another over 15 hours that you could be driving perhaps to come down here. So just working out the hours, just if you can just kind of walk us through what you mean by that.
As of right now, I am averaging between 15 and 20 hours every week. And then we have something called the exchange program, which you can pick up additional shifts as they become available, which there's pretty much multiple shifts every day of the week that are available that people release or they just didn't have coverage for. So to ensure that I was going to be able to save up enough money quickly, because I know one of the court's big things last time was seeing me in an independent living situation and being able to maintain that and everything. So picking up extra shifts as often as humanly possible to be able to save the money up. I did leave recovery housing, moved in with a friend, and then since our last hearing, and since then have now saved the money to be able to get into my own individual independent housing. So that's really what I've been trying to focus on. I know that, you know, Miss Moore keeps bringing up that she doesn't feel like Kenzie is my first priority, but you know, every step that I'm doing right now is for the end goal of having a sober, safe, and self-sufficient environment to bring my daughter back home to.
Let me ask you this, when you start working full-time, how are you going to have visits at that distance?
I will have to take on, you know, night shifts, and maybe if I can take on like split shifts, things like that, work double shifts on weekends, things like that. If I could, it's like this whole time, if I could leave Adrian with her or leave the CPS office with her actually, you know, and take her back up there and start gaining in parenting time where I'd have her for, you know, a couple of days. I have looked into 2 different daycares that were recommended to me by a couple of people in the program and a couple of people that I work with, that they have told me that, you know, as of right now, yes, they do have availability, but that can always change. So, you know, I have looked into daycares and things up there. I have, you know.
Afford that on part-time or not?
Probably not 100% on part-time where I sit right now. But I have also looked into resources in the area and within the Saginaw community for like childcare help and things like that.
You told me there's something that the worker said that the supervisor contradicted or something. What was that? About transportation? 4 hours down here. You indicated to me that the supervisor indicated something different than what the worker was saying. You recall that? You wanted to speak, address that?
Oh, the whole coming up with the plan, and like mapping out what that would look like. When she did come up to do the home visit, you know, the person I'm living with and we both did ask, you know, what does this look like, you know, for her being able to come up here and start, you know, doing visitations in the home and everything. And what we were told was, you know, I will have to speak with my supervisor and, you know, there's going to have to be a lot of planning that goes into that. It was never actually specified that I was the one that was going to be, that needed to do all of that planning and everything. So the steps I had been taking was, okay, if they were going to increase my parenting time, but I still can't leave Adrian with her because of the distance driving her up there and back. I had been looking into different places and ideas and things around this area to be able to take her since I wasn't able to leave town with her.
Would you be able to rent a hotel down here and spend like overnight with her here that way?
I did bring that up during the family team meeting and the supervisor said that really isn't what they're looking for me to do.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, would you be able to rent a hotel so she could spend a night with you down here?
If that's what it comes down to, I'll figure it out.
Do you have any family or friends down here who would also, you could spend a night and they would be there to supervise if that?
No, I no longer speak to any members of my family outside of my mother and her placement. And I don't speak to any of the people I used to associate with because everybody uses and.
Fair enough. Have we covered your concerns today?
I guess there is one other one that I was curious about.
Go ahead.
Apparently So it was unclear to me, well, when we left the last hearing, I kind of thought that we were moving into like unsupervised visitation type situation, because you had asked about that. You'd also brought up like the ability to, take her and do things with her. There's been multiple times where I have, texted and asked, can I take her to the park? Can we do something? And I've been told no repetitively. And then at this last family team meeting, the supervisor had informed me that this entire time, if I had come with a car seat, that I could have taken her and gone and done stuff with her while I was here. Except any time that I had been at the office for my visitations, in order to even take her outside into the parking lot or walk around the block with her, they required me to give them my car keys. And so when I brought that up to the supervisor, I said, well, what do you mean? I have to give them my car keys even to take her outside of the building. And she was like, no, that wasn't supposed to be happening like that. So this entire time I had been kind of led to believe that, I couldn't leave the office, couldn't do anything with her, had to hand my keys over if I even just wanted to take her outside for a little bit. And apparently that's not how it was supposed to have been.
Okay.
So I don't, where they're viewing everything as stagnant since the last hearing. I mean, I've started my job. I've moved from recovery housing into independent housing. I've now obtained my own, like nothing on my end has
supported
been.
guardianship, correct?
Correct. Yeah. Nothing on my end has been stagnant.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. Ms. Lemley, one of the things the court mentioned at the last hearing too was having information as to whether you've made any progress related to domestic violence and understanding child abuse and neglect. Do you have any updates on that?
When I was in a higher level of care in the program, I completed, I believe, 3 separate domestic violence classes. There was parenting classes required that I attended every week for nearly 6 months. Since the last hearing, I've had a change in therapist in the program because they had an employee leave, so I had a change of therapist. But before my previous one left, during our individuals, she would print out different like child neglect or effects that domestic violence have on children, like different packets and things. And we would sit and read through them and go over them and look into them. I don't have any of the packets currently with me. They're back in Saginaw, but since the last hearing we did, especially because I believe it was the Judge Sala had brought up doing some type of like workbook, something. And I wasn't really pointed in a direction by the agency and what to do with that. So that's why my individual therapist and we just started like printing different things off of the internet and going through them and going over them. And
okay. And did you happen to provide a copy to your attorney or to Ms. Moore at all?
Of the different packets?
Yeah. Or in anything that you've done?
I don't know exactly what has all been included in, because I know my therapist was sending updates or sending like progress notes or something to the agency. I'm not sure exactly what all she included in there or not. I know there's been a couple different instances where I've sat and spoke with my recovery coach, Ms. Martin, about, the different items and things. She might be able to testify a little bit further as to what was sent to the agency and what wasn't, because she can see that type of thing. Well, I guess I don't want to speak for her. She may be able to see that type of information.
Okay. All right. And if the agency didn't have a concern about your relationship with Mr. Wright, would you have a concern about being in a relationship with him?
I guess I don't understand the question.
So regardless of the agency's position, do you have a concern about being in a relationship with Mr. Wright?
No. We're not in a relationship, so there isn't like concern with being in a relationship if we're not in a relationship. I guess I don't understand the question.
Okay. Talking to him or re-engaging in a relationship?
We're not in a relationship.
Okay. If the agency did not have a position on that, would you have a problem, or would you be interested in re-engaging in a relationship with him?
What I told him is that, yes, I do have love and care for you. I always will. You are the father of my children. But at this point, the toxicity level of the relationship is not worth the relationship. There's too much over the years. There's too much broken. Our lives are on two totally different paths. I'm sober, staying sober, and getting my life together to make something of myself for my children. And if that's not the path that somebody is on, that relationship isn't part of my world.
Okay. And as relates to your children, the other two are in the Jackson area, correct?
Hillsdale
area. Have you considered moving to be closer to all of your children?
The question keeps getting presented to me, when are you coming back? Why haven't you moved back? And believe me, it has been a lot of thought. There has been a lot of conversation with not only all of my therapists, but my recovery coach as well. At some point, in a perfect world, it would be my ideal that absolutely, yes, I would have my youngest daughter back. We would probably move to Hillsdale County and live as close as humanly possible to my other two children that I could, get. But at this point in my sobriety, and yes, even though I am now celebrating almost a year and a month clean, coming back to the people, places, and things that I have nothing but use and, that type of environment it's not a safe environment for my sobriety. So I know my moving back has been a big problem, but at this point, moving back and putting myself right back into the same environment that I was in, I'm not going to stay clean. It's not going to happen. And it would make every bit of all of this completely pointless and a waste of time. So I'm currently staying in the place where I have a supportive recovery community. I have a supportive recovery family. I have so many resources when it comes to recovery. Looking into the idea of moving back here and looking into the recovery resources that are back in this area, they're nearly non-existent compared to where I currently reside. I have established myself within the Peer 360 program. I'm very, very active in my recovery and in my recovery community, and coming back here would cut me off from a lot of those resources. It would cut me off from a lot of my supports, things like that, where I don't have that here. Maybe down the road when I have a lot more clean time and a lot more stability and strength in my sobriety, yeah, it's absolutely an option and an idea. But at this point, it would be much more detrimental to my sobriety and continuing to build everything that I'm building to just walk away from all of it and come back to the same people, places, and things that led into this whole entire situation to begin with.
Okay. My original question was just getting closer. And so are you stating that any place closer would not have anything like Ann Arbor, I think, would cut your drive time in half? Have you discussed anything to get closer and where you could maintain employment with a Home Depot? You could coordinate care with sobriety, other sobriety resources, sober living, anything like that?
I did have a conversation with my boss about the possibility of transferring stores, and the only stores that I would be able to transfer to would be Coldwater, Jackson, or Toledo. Jackson, again, not somewhere that I need to be trying to build a life with sobriety. Toledo would be, a whole nother state, and we're already having issues across counties. I don't even want to think about what the issues would be crossing state lines at that point. And then Coldwater, I don't think, it might be a little bit closer of a distance from here, but at the same time, I have no recovery support. I have no recovery community. I don't have anything out there.
Okay. All right. I was just curious if that was something you had explored yet. I have no further questions, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Berger, any questions?
No, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
Yes, thank you, Judge. Ms. Lumley, I think at the last hearing, you had indicated that it had taken you so long to secure employment because you had to get some issues with your maybe some dental work done or something like that? Has that been handled?
Yes. I went through quite a bit of extensive dental work where I had to have 14 teeth surgically removed that I ended up doing like all at one time, and then healing from that, things like that. On top of, when you first get into recovery housing, you are on restrictions for 30 days. And then after that 30 days, I was filling out, multiple applications weekly, going on interviews. And again, Miss Martin can, attest to that. She sat with me in her office in tears many a days, like, I don't know what to do. I'm never going to get a job. Like, I'm going on these interviews. These aren't working. At one
If
point.
I might just interrupt. If I could just briefly go to the bathroom. I don't mind if my client continues testifying. It'll take me 2 minutes. The court doesn't mind.
I don't mind. Do you mind?
Oh, no.
Thank you for asking.
At that point, my recovery coach and I, we sat down. We went over my resume and kind of revamped and redid my whole entire resume. I began switching up from just submitting applications through Indeed to actually going to physical companies, like hiring websites and applying that way. And then it didn't take me very long to acquire employment after we kind of revamped my resume and all of that.
Okay. Are you also working a side job?
There is somebody within my recovery community that does construction, that when, I have been, maybe short a little bit on, or not quite as comfortable as I'd like to be when it came to money for renting the car and the trip down here for the day and back and stuff, that I could call and say, hey, do you need some help at one of your properties, that I could go and put a few hours in and get paid there.
Okay. How often are you doing that?
He received a call back from the union and has gone back into his union work. So that's not as often anymore. I haven't worked with him in a couple weeks now.
Okay. And you indicated that you're due to your work schedule that you don't think you could make more than once a week visitation work for you?
I could go in and talk to my HR person and make it work.
But you're only working 2 or 3 days a week, correct?
No, right now I'm working 4 or 5 days a week. I'll work like a 4-hour shift this day, a 5-hour shift this day, maybe an 8-hour shift this day. It's broken up into a lot of little shifts over multiple days.
Okay. And do you know who your daughter's doctor is?
If I can pronounce the name right, Dr. Edenuga, is that how you pronounce it?
Okay. And did you ever follow up and contact the doctor's office about your child's visits?
No.
Okay. And you say you are going to start with a new apartment shortly. Have you already signed the lease?
I'm sorry?
Have you already signed your lease?
Yes.
Okay. No further questions.
Any redirect?
No.
Any recross from our attorneys, Ms. Thomas, Ms. Berger?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. You may return to your seat. Any other witnesses, Mr. McFarland?
Well, thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
Comments in closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this juncture, the agency is asking for a concurrent goal to include either adoption or guardianship. And I think that the highlight that Ms. Moore was bringing up is things are sort of at a standstill in progressing towards developing a relationship between the child and the parents at this time. And that does not take away from Ms. Lemley's progress. I think it's undeniable that she's maintained her sobriety for quite some time now. And she's making extraordinary efforts to come down from the Saginaw area. But all of those things really have also, unfortunately, bifurcated her life, and the child's life. And she has her supports in Saginaw, and the child's life and family are in a different area. And to be able to merge that together, there's a lot of planning that needs to get done, and it might not be impossible, but I think that mom still needs to show some independence in being able to achieve those goals there. As relates to Mr. Wright, unfortunately, I think we're in the same holding pattern of not really getting much done. The positive drug screen was also very concerning. I don't know that we've had any truthfulness from him on that point, or even concern about addressing that. But we are just asking the court for that goal change and guidance on how to move forward, and scheduling another 90-day review. Thank you.
Comments, Ms. Berger?
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, obviously, my client is asking for another review period, but for the goal to remain the same. He did make some positive changes in moving to Adrian and securing housing that is with a family friend that hopefully can be supportive of him. He is asking for help continually. He needs some help with transportation. That's a big challenge for him. And without that, he's not able to complete a lot of the services the agency is requesting. So we would request another review period. We would ask that the goal change not take place just quite yet. And in the event that it does, we would ask for a dual goal so he can still continue to work towards those goals in that case plan. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland?
Your Honor, my client has made substantial progress on her case service plan. I know recovery comes first. I have explained to her the time requirements of this case. She was receptive when I've explained to her that Ann Arbor does employ a lot of recovering addicts. They have similar programs. I realize that she's comfortable with her counseling and everything else up there, but 6 hours on the road, you perhaps better utilize 6 hours of visitation down here. And I think she's receptive and would accept any help, at least helping her locate similar positions. I know she just signed a lease, but I think she'd be willing to look at Ann Arbor, which sounds like the agency would like her to do that. So she is making a lot of positive steps. So I think she's checking off her boxes. And I think the distance and the time are the two constraints. I think that will help that she can bridge that gap also. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is a case where the minor child has been in care for a year now. And while on the part of Miss Lumley, she has made some progress, and I'm very glad that she's maintained sobriety. I'm still not seeing a ton of progress that would support reunification. I'm seeing progress that would support sobriety, but yet it's all very far away from where this child is located. We still don't have really any secure housing. There's been some movement in places, but it sounds like maybe she's getting a 1-bedroom apartment. But again, like the department's indicated, it's nowhere near her family and this case. I believe Miss Thomas, her point was not that she should relocate to Ann Arbor, but that maybe she should be considering options other than Saginaw that could provide her with the sobriety and sober living and stability that she needs, but yet be closer to her children and be able to make more visitation possible. Again, this child deserves stability and permanency. And I think it would be appropriate in this case to at least have a dual goal. With respect to Mr. Wright, he's done nothing. Miss Moore, it's clear from the report that Miss Moore has made several attempts to try to engage with Mr. Wright. He continues to dodge meeting with her. She's provided 3 different locations to meet with him throughout this entire case. And every time there's an excuse. Again, she's gone out to the location he said he was at 2 times and then not shown up. And then has gone as far as to blame Miss Wright or Miss Miss Moore for him catching another charge in district court and being in warrant status, which is just ridiculous in my opinion. Mr. Wright needs to take some accountability in this case, and he's done none of that. I would, like I said, commend Miss Lemley on her sobriety. I think that's admirable, and I hope that she continues to do that. I think a dual goal is appropriate in this case so that we can continue to plan for permanency, but also give the parties the opportunity to make some significant progress before it's too late. So I would ask that the court continue to have this child remain in the current placement as it's least restrictive, most appropriate, and in her best interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, the court finds all interested parties were given notice for purposes of today's review and permanency planning hearing. Obviously, it was a very extensive hearing. I was able to hear a lot about the progress that's being made, the referrals, all the programming that's happening, and also the concerns from both parents as well as the department's perspective. Certainly, everyone is in compliance with their legal obligations in this case. Our attorneys, guardian ad litem, and caseworker are all doing an excellent job. I appreciate again, this is our second representative from Catholic Charities this morning, all of the referrals and the attention to detail that's coming into these court record reports. So that's great. I concur with with our guardian ad litem, Ms. Underwood, that as it relates to Mr. Wright, he's not showing a lot of progress in his areas. And of course, Frank, I'll tell you the truth, I'm grateful for his frankness. As it might not have ended well, the conversation between Ms. Moore and Mr. Wright, as it relates to the discussion that he had with her about whether or not it would be an option to plan together, we'll say, with the mother of his child. But at least he's frank and honest about what he wants and where he thinks that his life might be taking him in the next few months. And of course, it gives rise to the concerns that Ms. Lemley had to answer to during cross-examination. And it seems like, frankly, she's a little on the fence about it. She'll have to accept the fact that Mr. Wright may care for her, but certainly has not demonstrated any the true ability at this point to tackle a lot of the concerns that she continues to herself understand are a risk associated with them planning together. There would be a lot of work involved in an arrangement like that. Ms. Lemley is certainly determined to maintain her sobriety and the supports that she has. And I respect that. And I respect the progress that she's made in that context. Frankly, the family appears to be stabilizing under the current arrangement. The child is doing well in the placement. She's meeting her developmental milestones. Ms. Lemley is meeting her milestones and goals as she increases her momentum in successfully obtaining housing and employment and sustained sobriety. I don't have a whole lot of information about the programming that's happening around parenting time, individual counseling, or some of the other pieces, like the domestic violence piece, and obviously the substance use support is working, which is great. But some of those other pieces, I think, if Ms. Macy Moore is looking for notes, that could be something that could be interesting to explore. I also have some concerns about the reaction the child is having to parenting time, because considering that the situation is stabilizing, this is even though the child is very young, this is a situation where I would consider a juvenile guardianship, recognizing Ms. Lemley's progress and stability, and the fact that this child would be able to recognize a successfully sober parent could be a really sustaining piece for this child in the future. My concerns are the age of the child. She's very young. She's been removed from her parents basically since she was 6 months old. And this is the home that she's known for the past year. So that lends itself strongly towards adoption in this case. And I appreciate that Ms. Lemley's primary goal is to be a sober parent and to be there for her child as much as she's able to, but her priorities are certainly in that area, as I think they should be. So I would look for Ms. Moore to look for an arrangement that allows this to lend itself to permanency, whether that's juvenile guardianship or adoption. I will continue to recognize reunification in addition to adoption and juvenile guardianship, and leave it to Ms. Moore to start that conversation. please begin working with placement and licensing if you haven't already. Because again, recognizing that the parents and the child have stabilized under the current conditions, and that Ms. Lemley is going to continue to work and increase her work schedule and be successful in that area. That continues to limit her ability to be able to create that strong bond and support that her daughter needs. I'll look for Ms. Moore to look also at the visitation. Some of Mr. McFarland's suggestions seem useful, to come down for a weekend or a day or two, or arrange longer visits. I would encourage Ms. Lumley to really make an effort to be part of doctor's appointments and FaceTime, even if it's just for a few minutes, her child, because that's an important piece when I consider juvenile guardianship, is the bond between the parent and the child, and whether or not that bond is a resiliency factor for the child. So, Ms. Moore, you may want to consider consulting a visitation specialist to look at whether or not the child's discontent after visits has to do with Ms. Lumley, or what that is, or if there's a way that that could be worked through to allow her to develop a better relationship with her daughter. But that's going to be a pivotal piece, Ms. Lumley, is your relationship with your daughter, and whether or not that's a support for her as we look at a permanency goal for your child moving forward. So I'll modify the goal to that extent for the reasons that I've expressed, considering especially the fact that the child has been removed for as long as she has, and the case is coming to a place where statutorily the court has to make some decisions on what's going to be happening for this little girl in the near and far future, frankly. So I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up today to support this child and this family, and all of our caseworkers and attorneys. The child will remain in placement. That's the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances. And we'll have our next review on September 30th at 10 o'clock in the morning. And we'll continue to be a permanency planning hearing. We'll certainly look at these issues again.
My client, she was just barely able to make it here today in the morning. She can't get a rental car before 8.
Would 1:30 be?
That'd be much better. Thank you.
All right, so that'll give us a little more time as well. So we'll schedule that for 1:30 p.m. on September 30th. Thank you, Ms. Berger, for pinch hitting for Mr. Brooks today. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Unless there's any other issues or questions, that's all for this morning. Good luck, everyone, and we'll see you in September. Madam, we have the names of our participants, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer, guardian ad litem for the minor child.
Ms. Stasia Thomas, counsel for the department. Ms. Moore?
Macy Moore, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Apparently not present, at least not in person. He was on Zoom, I don't know.
He is not.
Michael McFarland, representing Christina Lemley mother. Is she on Zoom, Your Honor?
Now she's logged in. Ms. Lemley, would you confirm you can hear us, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was able to meet with the minor child last week in her relative placement. I feel like she's really gotten tall throughout the last couple of months. She's just growing and going from a baby to a real person, for lack of a better word. She's just talking and communicating. She's so expressive. She's really, I feel like she knows me now, so she gets excited when she sees me. The dog always has a great time once we're there, and we all kind of hang out and enjoy our time together. But she has a toy kitchen she loves to play with. She put all sorts of things in the shopping basket and grabbed a book from the bin and sat down in my lap so I would read it to her. She's just really, really comfortable in her placement. She's thriving there. Her needs are being met. It continues to serve her best interest and is the least restrictive environment at this time. And she's too young to express a preference, as she's only just over a year old. Thank you.
All right, testimony today, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll ask Ms. Moore to be sworn in. All right. Ms. Moore, I'm just going to call you Macy, if that's okay.
That is fine.
Okay. All right, Macy, you have provided, at least for my records, 2 separate filings for this court hearing. One is a court report with a rental agreement for Ms. Lemley, a photo of the child's hands following a visit, and then the parent's case service plan. And then there was a second exhibit that was submitted, which looks like a strand or a string of Facebook messages from Mr. Wright. Is that correct?
Yes.
And are there any updates or modifications that need to be made to either of those documents that you're aware of?
Yes, I have quite a few updates today. On 9/25, I was able to meet with Christina and Dawn. At that meeting, Christy reported that she was unsure how much she's gonna have to owe on the enterprise car that she got in a car accident with. She also reported that her next therapy session was October 1st, and I reminded her at that meeting to either get the therapist contact information for me or provide the therapist with my contact information. She did do that on 10/2. I called the therapist and left a message, and I have not received a response back. She said give her about 5 business days for a response, though, so she still has a little bit of time to respond. Christina has not visited with Kenzie since the 9/11 parenting time, and she has also not utilized any FaceTimes that have been offered to her. And then Christina was also referred to forensic fluids for random drug screening at a Saginaw location on 9/25, and her color was called on 10/3 and 10/6, and she has no-showed both of those. And then I was also able to receive her discharge paperwork from the Odyssey House. They sent it over to me late on 10/3, so I opened it Monday morning on 10/6. On that paperwork, it does state that Christina had 2 positive drug screens, one on 5/15 of 2025, one on 7/15 of 2025. Both were positive for methamphetamines. I did request Elizabeth Reyes to give me a phone call back. I have not heard from her. She did say she was out of office, and that's why there was such a delay on getting that paperwork to me. And then another update I have is Victoria Wright, Matthew's Wright's mother, reached out to me on September 25th. I asked her multiple times in that conversation what I could assist with her for today. She was not able to do anything, and she was not effectively communicating with me, so I did hang up on her. But I did call her back on September 26th and left a message requesting to schedule a phone conversation with herself, myself, and my supervisor. I have not.
I never got that.
Victoria Wright.
I never got that.
Ms. Wright, this is a court hearing. We have to abide by the court rules that govern that court hearing. I saw your last name, so I let you into the hearing, understanding that you probably had something to do with today's proceedings. Typically, if you were going to be testifying or participating, we would prefer that you were here in person. Obviously, you're responding to what Ms. Macy Moore is testifying to, so we may circle back to you in a few minutes, but please refrain from interrupting so that I won't have to excuse you from the meeting. There is also the YouTube option. We are broadcasting this afternoon, so that if you do become unable to continue to attend, whether because I have to ask you to leave or because you choose on your own, you're welcome to view the proceedings by YouTube if you're not able to be here in person. Ms. Thomas or Ms. Moore, if you can pick up where you left off.
I can continue. So I have not received a response or any more additional communication from Victoria Wright. And then for an update on Kenzie, I just want to reiterate a lot of what Ms. Underwood said. She really has grown into like an actual toddler this reporting period. The last home visit I went to at the house, I think Kenzie thought it was a play date just for me and her. She did a similar thing, climbed up right in my lap and was demanding me reading her books to her. So it's always fun to go over there. But one additional thing that I would like to report for the family is that Kenzie is struggling with sleep still. So she is waking up about nightly and struggling.
What's she struggling with?
Just sleeping throughout the night. She was sleeping throughout the night, and now she is waking up at least once a night. And I believe it is like a nightmare waking her up. That is all of my updates, though. So if.
All right, thank you for that. Just a reminder, we are live streaming on YouTube, and so trying to refrain from using the child's name, but thank you for those updates. And at this time, based on your report, it seems that there's been information, I mean, in your updates, it seems that there's information we weren't aware of. And then there's also been sort of this regression in compliance from the case service plan as it relates to Ms. Lemley. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
And at this time, do you believe that the permanency goal, which at the last court hearing was shifted to potentially looking at a guardianship along with adoption, and then of course, you know, always trying to aim for reunification. Do you believe that that should still be the permanency goal, or do you believe that there should be a change in permanency goal at this time?
I believe there should be a change of permanency goal, and the transition should be only adoption and dropping the guardianship.
This child has been in care since June 21st of 2024, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And since it's over 15 months, is there any compelling reason why the court should not order the agency to file a petition to terminate parental rights to allow this child to be freed for adoption?
I do not believe so.
At the beginning of the matter, some of the outstanding issues or conditions that led to the removal and barriers to reunification were really surrounded around substance use and abuse, mental health and domestic violence, and then sort of those really basic housing, transportation, financial needs. Have there been any, at this point in time, do those barriers still exist to reunification?
Yes, the barriers still exist.
In your report, you indicate when you asked Ms. Lemley to screen at your last contact with her, she refused, stating that everyone would win but her, essentially something like that. Did she elaborate what she meant by that?
She did not elaborate, no.
Okay. And then as relates to Mr. Wright, after review of his text messages, can you clarify who did he believe he was sending messages to?
Macy Moore, the foster care worker.
Okay. And so did you perceive his messages to you as threatening?
I did, yes.
And do you feel like the court needs to offer, or are you asking the court to offer some sort of additional safeguards in its orders to ensure your safety, or how do you plan on working with Mr. Wright moving forward?
Moving forward, I plan on just taking an additional staff member with me pretty much if I'm meeting Matthew or Christina, based on the fact that I don't know if they're going to be together or not.
At this time, do you know if Ms. Lemley is even still residing in Saginaw?
I am not for certain, but I am aware that she sent me her work schedule about 2 weeks ago. So I would assume, but not for certain.
Okay. I think in your report you indicated if I read correctly, that you attached the police report from the car accident on 9/11?
I did not attach it. I had it requested at that point.
Okay. I'm sorry. Then I did misread that. Okay. Have you received it since then?
I have received it, yes.
Okay. And is there anything from the incident report that you believe is relevant for today's hearing?
No, I don't.
Okay. I know one of the main concerns during this review period is obviously this unsupervised parenting time that Ms. Lemley was engaged in with the child, and those two are found at Mr. Wright's house or location. Can you articulate for the court why you believe that is or poses a substantial risk of harm to the child?
Yes, so I believe that it posed a risk to the child as Matthew has not participated moving forward with his case service plan for the duration of the case. He has not had parenting time with Kenzie for the duration of the case. And his housing is unknown, so I don't know what is happening at the residence. So those were all of my main concerns.
And was there any indication from Ms. Lemley or Mr. Wright that this is something that they just do, that any other time the child's been fine, no one knew, or anything like that?
No, they did not say that they've ever done it before or anything like that.
Okay. And at this time, are you asking for any change of parenting time as relates to either parent?
No.
Okay. And so right now, the proposal for parenting time for Ms. Lemley would be supervised at the office once a week for, I believe it's 6 hours?
Yes, I would request that it be brought down to 10 to 3, just because that's a big time to sit in an office with the child and have a staff member in there.
Okay. Is there anything else for the court that you would like to share, or anything you need guidance on?
I do not believe so.
Oh, I did have one follow-up question. In your report, you report that you had a phone call with Miss Lemley's landlord and that September rent had not been paid. Do you have any update on that?
I do not have an update on that, no.
Okay. Thank you. With that, Your Honor, I have no further questions of this witness. I would move to admit the court report and then the second exhibit that was submitted, which are just the messages from Mr. Wright to Miss Moore.
No objection.
No objection.
No objection, except as far as the messages, we have no position on that.
Thank you. The exhibits are received. Cross-examination, Mr. McFarland?
I do. My presumption is that you're not a drug expert, correct?
Correct.
And my client was successfully discharged from the inpatient drug program, correct?
I do not have documentation that states successfully discharged.
Do you have any documentation that she was unsuccessfully discharged?
It just states discharged.
Now, you've not inquired of them if it was unsuccessful, correct?
I've reached out and requested a phone call, but she has not responded back to me. And she is Elizabeth Reyes from the Odyssey House.
Have you dealt with the Odyssey House before?
Yes.
They typically put unsuccessfully discharged if they're kicked out of the program, right?
I have not dealt with them previously beyond this case. I'm sorry, I misintruded that question.
So if, let's say we were to presume my client was successfully discharged, even with the 2 positive drug screens, that'd be discharged through people who are expert at rehabilitation, right?
Correct.
You're not holding those against her, are you?
Holding the positive drug screens against her? They cause concern, for sure.
When did you find out about these 2 positive drug screens?
Monday.
So it's really too early to express an opinion because you need some more input. Is that correct?
Correct.
Fair enough. The automobile accident, you're not faulting that on my client, correct?
No, that was a simple car accident from the report that I've read.
Are you under the understanding that, though, she cannot lease another vehicle until the claim is resolved through the rental company?
I am, yes.
She lives how far away?
She lives in Saginaw.
How are we going to get her down here for visits if she can't have a vehicle, if she has no transportation effectively right now?
We have offered her gas cards to ask, she was previously borrowing like a friend's car and coming down. So I have offered the same thing. We could do gas cards and she could borrow a friend's car and come down.
How much is the gas card?
$25.
That's sufficient gas all the way from Saginaw back?
I believe so. If it's not, she can report and we can give her multiple gas cards, but I would presume so, yes.
And if she has no access to a friend's car, have you asked her if she has access to a friend's car?
She said she was asking one of her friends, but she did not get back to me with it.
As far as you know, there's no public transportation, correct?
Correct.
So what about the ability to take the child? How old's the child?
2.
All right. What about the ability to meet halfway or take the child up there?
I would be willing to do that, but I would request a shorter like time frame, like a 2-hour block instead of a 4-hour block.
Okay. That's because the child's riding in the vehicle, is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, and we don't have an office or an agency, so we're gonna have to find a library, take up space in the library for 4 hours.
Well, your concerns about if you're down here having too much time at an office, you could also split that time between an office, a library, or a park down here a full 6 hours, correct?
We could, but then that still brings us back to having a staff member there to supervise.
How many total hours per week are you asking?
For parenting time?
Right.
I would say 2 to 4.
Well, traditionally, this court gives at least 2 hours 3 times a week, which would be 6 hours. So you're aware of that, correct?
I am not aware of that, no.
Okay. So let's say the court says 6 hours. How would you accommodate that per week?
I would recommend those being split into different days, but then that creates another issue with the transportation of not being able to come down here for the 2 days. But I guess I would have to get with my supervisor and do some brainstorming with all of the people in our agency and see what ideas we all have.
Okay. Halfway between Saginaw and Adrian, Ann Arbor, someplace like that, have you explored using their offices or something like that, libraries?
I have not explored it. We previously.
Macy, hang on. I'm just going to object to this line of questioning. I just, at this point, believe that it's been explored regarding transportation with parenting time. I think this is more appropriate to do off the record in a family team meeting. Additionally, our record has many instances in which this parenting time was occurring in Ann Arbor, and this has been accommodated in the past. And so I don't find it necessary or relevant at this point in time to continue to revisit it.
I think parenting time is also relevant. It is relevant any session, Your Honor. And I think she was saying that she will explore that, not that it has already been explored. So I think her answer she's already placed on the record is contrary to what, and she's already said that she's going to explore that. So I don't see the need for me to ask any more, but I think my question is valid to it.
All right, so are you moving on to a different question? Or did you?
I'll withdraw that question and just let me ask, will you then schedule a family team meeting to discuss parenting time?
I can do that. I do have one question as to
I
that.
can't answer questions. You have your own attorney. Okay.
Okay, it's more
What's
of a
your one
question to the
concern?
court. I do believe there's a previous court order that states that parenting time is to occur in Lenawee County, as Kenzie or the child was the one going up to all of the parenting times. So that is why I have not explored it further. But if the court would like to make a decision on that, I'll follow the court's recommendation.
Am I hearing you might be open to different combinations, a mother coming down, a child going up? Maybe you'd be at least open to exploring all options?
Yes, I'm open to explore.
Okay. Moving on, my understanding that my client explained to you that she took the child to father's house so that the child could have a visit with my client's dog, correct?
That is how it was explained. Well, she explained that she was dropping off dog food and then she stayed too long and ended up making mac and cheese because they were having too good of a time.
Okay. And is that what caused her parenting time to be changed from unsupervised to supervised?
Yes.
Did you go to that household?
The residents that,
Right.
yes.
I don't see anything in your report. You stated a whole bunch of possibilities about Mr. Wright, but I don't see any report where there is drug use, alcohol use, a smell of marijuana, where there's filthiness. I mean, there doesn't seem to be any glaring dangers to the child there, physical dangers, correct?
I don't believe so. I have never been able to do a home visit at his residence.
That's not what I was asking. I was
Okay.
asking when you were there that day, I don't see any report, any glaring physical dangers to this child, correct?
Correct.
And is it also your understanding that my client does wish to go through the guardianship for this child? Are you aware of that?
Yes,
And that was before this incident at the house. You're aware of that?
correct.
So before the incident with the dog in Mr. Wright's house, were you still on board with the guardianship?
That was my recommendation, yes.
So just this one incident with child visiting the dog at Mr. Wright's house is causing you to change it to termination of parental rights?
Correct. And her refusal of drug screening, that caused concern as well.
Nothing further?
Mr. Brooks?
Have you ever met my client, Mr. Wright?
Yes, I have. I met him in the fall when the case originally opened, but that's the only time that I have met with him.
All of what year, man?
Oh, I'm sorry, 2024.
Since then, you've not seen him or, now, I read that lengthy text message. Was that directed towards you?
I believe so. It was sent to me, so I took it that way, yes.
That's my question, yeah. All right. So when's the last time you even spoke to my client?
I spoke to your client. I would have to look at the date of my proof of service for him.
Roughly.
I would say last Thursday, I reached out, made sure he got all of the documentation for court. He said he didn't, so I sent them all of that documentation over Facebook Messenger. And then I also provided him with your phone number and your email.
Did he acknowledge that he received your message?
He did not, but on Facebook, you can see when somebody views your message, and it did show that he viewed the message.
According to this report that I'm reading, if I'm getting the impression correctly, he has never participated in anything that the courts authorized to take place. Have I got that right?
He has participated in one drug screening, I believe, following one of our reviews in April, but beyond that, he has done nothing.
I have nothing further.
Ms. Underwood.
When Miss Lumley was taking the child on unsupervised visits, would she pick up from you?
Yes, she would. So what we did was request Miss Lemley to send me a blurb of what she planned to do for her day prior to pickup. We would do pickup at my office and then she would leave for the day. She would return to my office at 5 o'clock and return the child to her foster placement. And then at that time, I expected her to send me a blurb of what actually happened that day.
Okay, so the day when the child was found to be at Mr. Wright's home, what did the blurb that Miss Lemley sent to you say she was planning on doing that day?
It had nothing in there stating that she planned on going to Matthew Wright's house. I believe that it stated she was going to go to the library and get lunch. And then I also believe that it said, if it still remains nice, we're gonna go to the park after lunch.
Were there ever discussions about Miss Lemley having insurance on her rental vehicle in case there was an accident or something occurring with this child in the car?
Yes, there was a long going conversation. I can't recall the name of the additional insurance that we were requiring her to put on the vehicle, but we were requesting her put additional insurance on the car in case an accident was.
I'm objecting, Your Honor. That's not in the case service plan. So this is outside the context of the case. We have a case service plan and it doesn't state that she's supposed to do that. So that's not relevant.
Response?
I would say neither is that she's gonna rent a car to transport the child, but yet she's still doing that. I think it's relevant because it's regarding the safety and well-being of the child.
And transportation and parenting time. So I will allow the testimony as it relates to that.
So you can go ahead.
Can you re-ask?
Sure. Was there discussions about whether Miss Lemley was required to have insurance on the vehicle that she was driving with the child?
Yeah, so I can't recall the name of the insurance that we told her to get, but I do know it was an additional insurance that didn't like automatically come with the car.
And did Miss Lemley indicate she would obtain that insurance for her?
Yes, she did. She sent it to me. I can't tell you the date, but I do know I received a copy of it at one point.
So when she got into the accident, did she not have the insurance on the vehicle?
No, she did not.
Can you elaborate some on the overall appearance of the child when you picked her up from Mr. Wright's home?
Yep, so her hands were kind of like what I were to imagine just digging in dirt. They were just covered. She also had, I believe, on her left arm, but it was one of her arms, this part in between your elbow and your wrist was all purple, and the Christina reported that she got into like an ink pad or an ink pen and it exploded all over her. I did make sure that it like wiped away and it wasn't a bruise before leaving. Kenzie, or the child, was fine when I put her in the car and she was able to be like redirected. We have toys in our car. And then once we returned to the office, we saw she was kind of inconsolable. She was just bloody screaming basically as soon as we handed her over to Dawn. The placement held her for about 5 to 10 minutes before even getting her in the car seat. And then I believe they had a long night that night as well with sleep regression with the child.
Was the child's clothing dirty?
Yes.
Did it appear that the child's diaper had been changed at all during the visit?
It did not appear that way, but I will say Christina Lemley told me that she thinks that the child just pooped when she handed her over to me. So.
Okay. At that time when you went and picked the child up or appeared at the home, how did Miss Lemley react to you being there to take the child from her visit?
Kind of walked up to me and was just nonchalant, brushed it off, kind of just looked at me like, what are you here for? I told her at that point, like, we all know that this isn't appropriate. Your visit's over. And she just handed her over and kind of moved on. At that point, once we obtained the child, I worried about the child and not necessarily the parents. So my supervisor dealt with the child and the police, dealt with the police officers and the parents while I took the child to the car, turned the car on, got the air going, and called placement.
Okay. And the police, why were the police contacted?
Police were contacted just for safety concerns on my own end. I did not feel comfortable going to the residence by myself with my supervisor.
Did Matthew Wright appear at all during this time?
Yes, Matthew Wright was the first one to greet us at the gate. He was telling the homeowner that we weren't allowed to go in the backyard unless she told them we were allowed, or told the police we were allowed to. The homeowner said, I've already given them permission. And then the police officer asked Matthew Wright to put up the dog. And then after that, Matthew left the residence, is what Christina reported to us.
And then there was one drug screen that Miss Lumley indicated she would not take. What date was that?
That was on 9/12, the day after the parenting time incident.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Follow-up, Mr. McFarland?
Yes. Did you ever put this insurance issue in writing to my client?
Could
Did
you
it require
clarify?
that she have that insurance that you're talking about?
Yeah, we went back and forth on email for a while about it.
Did you request that she couldn't come down unless she provided that insurance?
As in, like, take the child for
Right.
parenting time?
Right.
No.
So it wasn't that big of an issue, right? Because you weren't checking on it every time.
I guess so, yes.
Do you, I mean, if a parent only has PLPD and they have their regular vehicle, can they not drive a child? I'm trying to figure out what you're asking.
Well, the issue with the insurance, we were just wondering, like, if she was to get into an accident, what would happen with medicals if they were to be injured? So that is why the insurance was an issue.
My understanding that the insurance issue that she has right now is for damage to the vehicle. It's not regarding medicals or anything like that, correct?
The one that I can't recall the name of would cover medicals, but I can't recall the name of it.
I have nothing further.
Any other questions, Mr. Brooks?
One, I get the impression listening to your testimony here just now that the quote unquote owner of the house was also present. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
Do you know who that person is?
I do not know.
That's all I have.
Any other questions, Ms. Underwood? No. Thank you for your.
I do have one based upon Mr. Brooks' question, Your Honor. Did the owner of the house report any harm being done to the child or anything that would raise a red flag?
I did not speak to the owner of the home. The police officer did.
The police officer relayed to you that in his conversation with the owner that the child was in harm's way in any event, in any manner.
No, he did not.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. We return your seat. Any other witnesses, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
I believe my client was just to testify. Is that correct, Ms. Lemley?
Yes, sir.
Okay. First of all, you and I had a conversation prior to court last week, correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe it's in your daughter's best interest to be in a guardianship right now with placement?
To look at the whole big picture at this point, could I, do I have the ability?
Hang on. You're cutting in and out. Can you put your phone closer to you? Or with the court's permission that you turn off her video? Let's try your phone closer. Now repeat the answer.
At this point, honestly, could I take her back and be okay? Yes. But, would it be a struggle? Would there be, stresses? Absolutely. Would it be fair to put her through that when, I could go along with the guardianship option, still do visitations and get a little bit further in my stability, and then take her on full time? To me, that's the more logical option at this point. Yes.
No. Let me go with the big issue, and that seems to be you're asked to take a drug test, and it appears as though, at least from the testimony of the worker, refused. Can you tell us in your words what happened and why?
I did refuse it, yes. And that it was a matter of, I have been at this for, as we have all talked about multiple times now, a year and a half. I have done everything and anything asked of me. I have done additional anything and everything that, that there is I have had Miss Moore's supervisor face to face tell me, there are literally no more services that we can offer you because you have succeeded in every single one of them. There is nothing else that we can do to help this along. At this point, I feel like I should be able to be trusted enough to have the judgment enough to be able to be sober and have my daughter with me at the same time. I've done nothing but the last year and a half of proving this. And just because I took her to ensure that my dog was in a comfortable situation to be most himself, to ensure that having her and him in my house at the same time, they would both be safe and okay with each other. That does not mean in relapse. It means that I was trying to do things in a way that was going to be the safest outcome in the long run for my daughter and my dog to be together, because she was 4 months old the last time he was around her. And yes, he has been around children of, 8, 9, 10 years old. He's not been necessarily around a baby. So I needed to ensure that he would.
Let me clarify. When you're talking about him, you're not talking about Mr. Wright. You're talking about your male dog, correct?
Correct. Shadow.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Okay. Were you successfully discharged from your drug rehab? Your inpatient?
From residential, yes, and then from recovery housing, yes, and then from outpatient as well.
Okay. You do know it's part of your case service plan that you have to drug test, right? If asked.
Yes.
Okay. Would you drug test today then to prove that you're negative?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked to drug test the same day your daughter was taken away from you. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Would it be correct to say that you're a little bit ticked off, to say it politically nicely, about the situation, and that your emotions maybe got the best of you?
I would definitely say that my emotions probably had the best of me for 2 or 3 good solid days.
Okay, fair enough. You and I talked, and in hindsight, do you think you should have done what you did?
No.
What do you think?
The concept.
What do you
Yes,
think
the
that,
way that. No.
What do you think you should have done in order to have your child acquainted with your dog?
Had a conversation with Miss Moore and or her supervisor to say, hey, this is what I need to do. How can we, figure out doing this where, Shadow is going to be in his most natural environment to be able to act most himself around her.
Fair enough. Were you intending to supervent Mr. Wright's, the court's order for him not to have parenting time when you did that? Was that on your mind?
I honestly did not think of that in one little bit. Real main thought was I knew that their Shadow could be most like himself with, the people that he knows, the area that he knows. There would be nothing to kind of glitch with him to ensure that I would get the exact personality that he is all of the time when she was around him.
I understand, but I'm kind of asking, that was kind of a yes or no question so we can keep you on track, okay? Do you understand?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. You wish to have unsupervised visits resume. Is that what you're asking for?
I would absolutely love to have the normalcy of unsupervised visitations, but at this point, if it has to go back to supervised visitations, I'm not going to give my visitations up because they have to be supervised.
Right. When you and I spoke, we had talked about you making an itinerary of exactly what you're going to do and be accountable for every hour of an unsupervised visit. Are you willing to do that?
Yes.
Are you willing to have them call in at any time and FaceTime with you to verify that what you say you're doing, that you are doing?
Yes, absolutely.
Do you realize also that part of the agency's issue, I'm presuming, is that you didn't have the foresight to realize that you were violating a court's order and allowing Mr. Wright to have contact with your daughter? Do you realize that now?
Yes, looking at it beginning to end now, I see the error of, my tunnel vision on just her and Shadow and not thinking about the entirety of the situation of her and Matthew.
So under oath today, are you ever going to let Mr. Wright have any type of visitation outside of this court's order?
No.
Okay. Were you aware about this special insurance addendum that they wanted for liability in case something happened in the accident for medical coverage for your daughter? Were you aware of that? I'm
Yes,
just
at
asking
one
number
of our,
one, yes or no, were you aware of that?
yes.
Okay. And it may be possible, but did your insurance coverage on the rental vehicle, did it have that on the day of the accident?
I had the supplementary liability insurance. I did not have any of their damage or theft coverage. So I had the insurance to cover her medical, but I did not have the insurance to cover the car.
Okay, so you had the insurance that they were requesting that you have. Is that what we're hearing?
Yes, every time that I have left the caseworker's office with her, I've had at least the supplementary liability insurance. I may not have always had the coverage on the car, but I've always made sure that I have the coverage.
You can't talk over me. I'm not asking about that. The only issue that they brought up was the medical, and you say you have that. And would you be able to provide them proof as far as what you paid and what you got for coverage so they know that you were complying? Would you be able to do that?
Yes, I just have to go back through my emails and find the final receipt.
Okay. Now, they say that they can give you a gas card for you to come down here. Are you going to be able to come down here from Saginaw by borrowing somebody's car? Have you checked into that?
I actually went one further than that. I'm currently in the middle of purchasing my own vehicle. I have about $200 left to pay it off, and then I will receive the title, and then I'm getting it plated and insured, and I will just have my own.
So when could you come down here and start visits so that your child wouldn't have to worry about transporting?
Well, I mean, I can
When will
come
you
down,
have your car?
honestly. I'm sorry?
When will you have your car?
I have it currently. I just don't have the title, and it's not legal yet, so it's sitting in a driveway.
When will it be legal?
That's probably going to be at least 2 more paychecks because I have to finish paying the car off first and then get the registration and insurance and all of that.
And what is that, a month? The time frame?
Yeah, it's probably going to be at least roughly 30 days or so before I have it 100% legal to be able to travel down there.
So then my question I originally asked you, you have somebody to drive you down?
That I do not. I don't have anybody that has the ability to, take an 8 or 10 hour day to come and just sit in a town that they've never been to before. That's where my big hiccup has been with that.
Okay. So could you meet them someplace halfway in between or not? Yes or no?
I would have to probably say no, just because the uncertainty I have of would I be able to do it.
Okay, just lastly, you'd be able to meet them in a family team meeting to discuss transportation, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think the worker testified that you were offered a video visit and you refused. Is that true?
I have never refused any of them.
You're frozen.
All right, I'm gonna stop for video. I also want to say for the record that Matthew Wright did join the meeting around 2:16 p.m., or at least someone logged in under his name.
Thank you. Can you hear me now? You were frozen.
Are we back?
We are back. We cut your video so we have a stronger audio. My question again to you was, did you at any time after the visits became supervised refuse to have a video visit with your child? And we're not using first names.
No, I've never refused. They've never said, would you like to call? And I have said, no, that's never happened. There have been times where I have said, hey, can I talk? And they've been busy at the moment. We've done them later. Or I believe the last time I talked to her, when I had made a mention about, can I call such and such a day or something along those lines, it was going to be Fair Week. And so her placement family said, we're going to be busy with fair for this next week. She's going to be with this person. So, coordinating video calls might be difficult, so I didn't that week at all.
Okay, fair enough. You answered that. I have no further well, let me just, have we covered everything that you wanted us to cover based upon our meeting? That's yes or no? Did we cover everything?
Yeah.
Okay, other attorneys may have questions for you. Thank you.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
Thank you. Miss Lumley, where are you currently at?
Saginaw.
Okay. Curious because we've never had a problem with your connection.
Is that a question?
Yes, I'm wondering why there's a problem with her connection this time.
Before, I've always been in either residential or recovery housing where they have Wi-Fi and everything, and I don't currently pay for internet, and I'm also have exceeded my high-speed data limits for the month, so my data is slowed down on my phone. I had trouble with the last family team meeting I attended as well.
Okay. And typically you appear with someone from the Odyssey House, and I know you're obviously not in any other housing now, but are you still utilizing Odyssey House as a support agency or support people?
My recovery coach that I had while I was in housing, who had been the main person who attended court hearings with me, I do still keep in contact with her. And then I still attend my Peer 360 meetings in person, along with, I have it worked out at my job that when I work my closing shifts, which are usually 1:30 to 10 p.m., there's a 9 p.m. online Zoom Peer 360 meeting that they allow me to wait and take my lunch at 9 o'clock so that I can log into that Zoom meeting while I'm at work.
Okay. Earlier in Ms. Moore's testimony, she indicated that just recently Odyssey House had informed her of 2 positive screens, one in May and one in July. Were you aware of those screens?
One I was, yes, which we had that resent to the lab and had it for determined, and it was determined that it was an exposure level, which, to be, dead honest, I've had that actually happen 2 other times since I have been in recovery housing. When I very, very first got, I tested positive for another substance, and it was determined that it was an exposure testing level, and that it had been a matter of cleaning out a prior resident's room.
Okay, so when is the last time you used methamphetamines?
It would have been June 18th or 19th of 24. It was 3 or 4 days before she was taken, 2 or 3 days before she was taken.
Okay. So it's your testimony that the 2 screens that Miss Moore was informed about are false. They
classify it as an exposure level. It's still a positive screening, but they classify it at an exposure level, not a level of use.
Okay. And then, let me see here. Sorry. Just kind of going through my notes. Ms. Moore had indicated you do have referrals for forensic fluids up in Saginaw. Is there a barrier to getting there when your color is called?
My e-bike does not make it that far.
And do you have public transportation available in Saginaw at all?
I would have to do an Uber or a Lyft, and you would not actually believe the astronomical Uber prices to go that distance across town.
Okay. And, can you please remind me, I know the report says this, but you have 2 other children that are in guardianships, is that correct?
Yes, my mother has temporary guardianship of my 7 and 5-year-old.
Okay. And is there like a parent I cannot think of the proper name here. I'm sorry, like a parent visitation plan or parent plan that you comply with under that guardianship for them?
I do have a
Compound
court order
question.
through Hills.
Objection. Compound question. First question was, is there a plan? Second, do you comply? It's one at a time. It tends to ramble if we just ever ask one question at a time.
Okay, I think that's more for you, Ms. Lemley. Could you tell us in two different pieces, is there a plan and are you abiding by it? So is there a plan?
Yes, I do have a court order from Hillsdale County where I get 4 hours of supervised visitation every week, in addition to a 5-minute video and or voice phone call with each one of them every night. The complying portion of it, not lack of my trying. There will be a lot of days I have multiple text messages where, I have texted my mom, hey, are the Munchkins busy? Hey, can I talk to the Munchkins? What are the Munchkins doing? Or have tried to make plans to go into, I've tried a few different times to pick my daughter in this case up and take her out before school started so that all three of them could hang out and play together and everything. And there's usually always an excuse, or, my oldest two are always busy, or they're doing this or they're doing that, or it's not a good time, or she'll go days on end without answering my text messages or my phone calls. And I have multiple objects where I can prove that on my phone.
And I know that you kind of put a lot of testimony on there with Mr. McFarland regarding wanting, I'm going to just summarize it in my brain as like acclimating your dog and child so they can be kind of around another. Do you agree with that summation?
I think so. I think I'm understanding what you're saying.
Let me just try to clarify this. So part of the reason that you wanted, that you had taken your child to Mr. Wright's home or whatever was to acclimate or ensure that your dog would be okay with your child and they could be together. Is that fair to say?
Yes, that was 100% the motive behind that day.
Okay. And can you help us understand why that was important? I guess I'm confused just because this dog does not live with you, correct?
Incorrect.
Okay, so your dog does live with you in Saginaw?
Yes.
Okay. And is that permissible by your lease?
In my lease, it does say no pets allowed. However, after a conversation with my landlord, he does not have a problem at all with me having my dog there. I actually live in a duplex. The lady that lives in the other half of my duplex, she has a dog as well. It's just an additional $25 per month to pet fee to have him there.
Okay.
And,
okay.
I have to clean up stuff like that.
Okay. And so if parenting time were ever going to take place in your home in Saginaw, then you wanted to ensure everything would be okay, correct?
Correct. The last thing I wanted to do was, have her walk by and his ear and him not tolerate that and, have a problem. I needed to make sure that he was going to be okay with a little baby, that's still stumbles when she walks and, grabs onto things to pull herself up and, things like that.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, with that, I have no further questions of Ms. Lemley. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
No, thank you.
Ms. Underwood?
Miss Lemley, how often do you bring your dog with you when you come down to Lenawee County?
I think it's been twice.
And do you take the dog to Mr. Wright's house each time?
Yes, I did.
How much contact do you have with Mr. Wright?
Well, we do have 2 other children. He will text me and ask me, have I talked to the kids, things like that. I'll send him, pictures of the kids. We discuss things with Shadow.
So when you're in Lenawee County, how much time are you spending over at his house?
Usually 5-10 minutes to drop Shadow off, and then probably 15 or 30 minutes, picking Shadow up.
Are you and Mr. Wright in a relationship?
No.
Are you currently up to date on your rent payments?
I am not 100% up to date, but I have sat down and my landlord and I have worked out kind of like a payment schedule
Ms. Lemley,
for
the
my
yes or
payment.
no- Ma'am, the yes or no question is fine. So are you up to date on your rent?
No.
How many hours a week are you working?
I believe I'm averaging 25 to 30. The
I'm
last
sorry, you
couple
cut out.
weeks have been, but it's been a consistent like 25 to
How
30.
many times have you taken the minor child to Mr. Wright's house during your unsupervised visits?
That one time.
Okay, so you're confirming under oath that you've only taken Kenzie to Mr. Wright's, or the minor child to Mr. Wright's home one time?
Yes.
And are you also stating then that you have not admitted to drug use on that May or July 2025, those positive screens that were conducted by Odyssey House?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to admit as rebuttal evidence, the discharge summary and transition plan is provided by Ms. Wright. I have copies for all of the attorneys and we can get an electronic copy to Ms. Thomas. In that report, it does indicate that Ms. Lemley admitted to using methamphetamine, at least for the July 2025 specimen.
Objections?
I'd like to see it before I have an opportunity to object or not.
Here it comes.
Is there any way we can share a copy with my client also?
I can text her photos.
I have no problem with that.
Okay.
I'll do that right now.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
No worries.
All right, I've got a proposed copy, but I'll leave it face down until there's a resolution on the admission. Ms. Thomas, did you have an objection?
I do not, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Any objection to me receiving this document into evidence?
I have no position to take. This is Mr. McFarland's client.
Thank you for the clarification. We'll give you a moment, Mr. McFarland.
I'm just checking to see if it says she successfully discharged, but I have no objection to that.
All right, it is received then.
Here's the part that she referred to.
Page 3 at the top.
Mr. McFarland, just for your peace of mind, that's the messages over to Christina.
Ms. Lemley, are you able to open those text messages from Ms. Moore?
I have not received anything yet. I was just checking to look. Yeah, I just completely closed and like refreshed my messages app and I do not have anything from her.
Your Honor, do you want me to pause in the testimony while we wait for this? Or do you want me to continue with my questions?
You can continue.
I just want some clarification on your rationale for having the child be introduced to your dog. The goal was guardianship at the time you took the child over to visit with your dog. Is that right? Ms. Lemley, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can now. Did you hear my question?
Can you repeat it for me again?
At the time you're indicating you took the child over to Mr. Wright's to be introduced to your dog, the permanency goal for the child you would agreed was guardianship, correct?
At the time, the permanency placement goal was still reunification. There had been a conversation that, agreeing upon a guardianship at this hearing was an agreement.
And you were in agreement with that, correct? Yeah. And there were no pending or imminent parenting times that were going to occur in your home with this dog, correct?
Dude.
my hopes would be that yes, because at this hearing, which was 2 weeks later at this hearing, if it went into a guardianship, more stated that we would do a mediation to continue a visitation schedule. And I was hoping to start being able to, take her to my house for the day.
Okay.
Or if I was in Adrian for an entire day, bringing Shannon with me.
Ms. Lemley, I don't know what's going on with your signal, but it's really difficult to continue understanding what you're saying. It's like you're cutting in and out. Are you moving? Is the phone moving? Is there any way you can find a spot that's quiet where you can leave the phone down and just speak clearly into it?
Is this better?
Yes.
So Miss Moore indicated that prior to your unsupervised visit, you would send her what she called a blurb, which is just like a text message or note indicating your plans for each visit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you include anything about visiting Mr. Wright at that time?
No.
And why not?
It wasn't a for sure, done set plan or deal.
Do you think if you would have included that in your blurb to Miss Moore that she would have objected?
Looking back at the situation, yes, probably.
Were you attempting to hide the fact that you were going to visit Mr. Wright with your child?
No, I had no idea that the situation was going to actually work out until kind of it all fell into place and worked out.
But you were still going to need to go to Mr. Wright's house to pick your dog up after your parenting time, right?
Correct.
Okay, so there's really no need to take the child over there to drop off dog food?
There was the need to ensure that my dog and her can coexist together.
Okay, all right, no further questions.
Hey, Mr. McFarland, any redirect?
I do. I'm looking, Christina, at this discharge summary transition plan. It says that you were admitted on June 9th of this year and you were discharged June 10th of this year. Were you only in a Saginaw Odyssey House outpatient for 1 day?
No, and I have not personally seen the discharge paperwork or anything from outpatient yet. But no, I was in outpatient for, I believe, at least 90 days. It may have been longer, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, it's kind of cutting in and out again. I couldn't tell if you were saying inpatient or outpatient.
I was in outpatient for at least 90 days. It may have been a little bit longer, a little bit less, but I'm pretty sure at least 90 days.
Thank you.
So you're saying 1 day is incorrect on this, correct?
Correct.
It also says the reason for discharge is you dropped out of treatment. Did you actually drop out of treatment?
No, I called and had a conversation with my therapist, which is the clinical director, Miss Reyes, or Miss Beth, as we call her, and told her that, I had a conversation with Miss Moore, and we felt that at this point that, I could probably continue on without such intensive outpatient where I was required, multiple clinical hours per week to attend groups, to attend individuals with her and a recovery coach, just to lessen some of the things I was doing there to stay compliant with their program, to open up hours that I could either A, come to Adrian, or B, be able to work.
Okay, now Ms. Reyes also said the discharge explanation is this. Though clinician had multiple phone conversations with Christina, she never participated in a regular individual sessions, and that's a discharge explanation. Did you fail to participate in regular individual sessions or not?
No, I can probably even go back and pull text messages where I would have individual sessions with Ms. Beth scheduled, and she would text me the day of or day before that, she wasn't going to end up being in Saginaw that day. She was going to have to go work at the Flint residential building. Or there was another time where
Okay, Christina, I need you to slow down and speak clearly and not move the phone, because we're not getting everything you're saying.
I'm sorry, is that better?
I hope so. Let's try it again. Slow down, please.
Do you need me to re-ask you the question or not?
No,
Okay, so to say slow and loud.
I did attempt to participate in my individuals. I had multiple individuals that were rescheduled on Miss Beth's accounts where she was required to not work in Saginaw the day of our appointment and had to go to Flint and work that day. Or there was another time her husband was in the hospital and she had to reschedule. I had multiple times that happened.
Thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Anyone else have further questions for this witness?
No.
Your Honor.
I have no questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Mr. McFarland, any other witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call Ms. Reyes with this report, but she's not here, so I'm asking for a continuation so I can do that. I think we're entitled to that since it has been admitted, and we do have a witness. I think that would clarify some of the major issues, Your Honor.
We have 14 minutes left in our allotted time for today anyway, and Mr. Matthew Wright has appeared. So I was going to talk to all of you about a continuance anyway, to be honest with you. So, Mr. Brooks, do you want to check in with Mr. Wright to see if he wanted to testify and or to see if he wanted you to ask Ms. Victoria Wright to testify, his, I think, relative, I'm not sure what capacity. She seemed eager to weigh in on today's proceedings as well. How would you like to approach it?
Well, let me ask him.
Go ahead.
Mr. Wright, did you hear what the judge said?
Yes, I did.
All right. She is going to be setting this over for another hearing date, but do you want to use this few minutes we have to say anything to the court, sir?
I mean, there's quite a few things I'd like to touch base on. I don't believe that any of it we will be able to close out in 15 minutes, but
then I would suggest.
Yeah, but yes, the answer is yes.
Yeah, I think we should wait till you're not pressed for time, because I have read the text you sent to the caseworker, and you bring up an awful lot of issues in that text. And I want you to have a reasonable amount of time to respond. Do you agree with my decision?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I do.
We would like to wait until we have a more reasonable opportunity to speak.
I have a window of time for 1 hour on Tuesday, October 14th. That's this coming Tuesday at 1 o'clock. If you'd like to check your calendars.
Okay. All right.
That'll work for you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ms. Underwood?
I'm available.
Excellent. Ms. Thomas?
That works for me, Your Honor. Thank you.
Me too.
Great. You were my next question. All right. So let's go ahead and adjourn for today then. And we'll ask everyone to rejoin us on the 14th at 1 o'clock. Mr. McFarland, if you intend to call an additional witness, I would encourage you to contact your client, track down the information for that witness and get that subpoenaed. I'd be happy to sign it if you need to, so that you can have that coordinated for Tuesday, or let us know if we need to preserve your right to inquire as to that witness at a future hearing. I'm also open to that.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Wright, I want you to understand the procedure here. Mr. McFarland, who is the mother of your child's attorney, has asked for another client or another witness to come in. So they will in all probability be allowed to testify before I'm able to call you. Do you understand that?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, I do.
Very well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Briefly, I would just ask that you remind the parties that any communication not be threatening. I'd like Ms. Moore to feel like she is safe and attending her duties. I feel like Mr. Wright has crossed the line here.
Oh. Freedom of speech.
Mr. Wright.
There's no.
Okay.
I've made no threats to anybody.
All right, Mr. Wright, just stick to the issues and language that can't even be misconstrued as a threat, please, moving forward.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, all other prior orders will continue in full force and effect, and I'll see you all Tuesday at 1 o'clock. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
Thank you.
Planning hearing in this matter. We have the names of our participants, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Nicole Underwood, lawyer regarding ad litem. Ms. Thomas will be joining momentarily.
Macy Moore, foster care worker with Catholic Charities.
Michael McFarland, representing Mother. You have a brief opening statement when it's opportune. Mother, please introduce yourself.
Christina Lemley, mother of Ken.
Thank you. I can hear you well.
Michael Brooks, I represent the father, Matthew Wright. Mr. Wright, are you present? Mr. Wright, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
There he is.
All right. Yeah. Matthew Wright, father.
Yeah. All right, Mr. McFarland, would you like to wait for the department to be present?
Probably I'll just tell them where we're going to go. And
Okay. Yeah, I didn't realize that we didn't have Ms. Thomas. Good catch, Ms. Underwood.
you text her.
Yeah, she's, yeah.
I'm sure she'll be very short. As I recall from last week, it was mainly to allow the parents the opportunity to testify.
That's my recollection.
Updates?
I do not have any updates.
There is also the opportunity for me to call a professional witness, a counselor, on the rebuttal. You also get a chance to do that for the next hearing, as I was on vacation Friday and Monday, so we will be possibly calling her at the next hearing, not today, just to let everybody know.
I need to go into a full recess because the second I do, she'll log in.
Are we waiting for Nastasia?
We are, but she should be joining us right now. We are ready for your appearance, Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor, and I apologize to the court. I'm in the middle of a brief and just got lost in time, so I apologize for that. Nastasia Thomas, counsel for the department.
Very well. We're on record for a continuation of last week's review and permanency plan hearing. The rest of our participants have done their introductions. Mr. McFarland had a chance to talk to his client. Mr. Brooks was also a bit delayed in joining us. It was a last minute carryover from last week, so you weren't the only one that was a little bit surprised by this afternoon's events, but we're back on record. We have everybody. Your caseworker, Ms. Moore, informed us that she doesn't have any updates. Mr. McFarland let us know that the professional counselor he was considering calling will not be part of today's hearing. Did you have anything else preliminary?
Well, you've given us the option of calling her at the next hearing. We may exercise that.
Thank you for the warning. Anything else?
My client will be testifying.
Okay. Mr. Brooks, any opening comments from you?
No.
Okay. Ms. Underwood, any updates or comments?
I have no updates, Your Honor, but as a comment, Ms. Moore did notify or ask Ms. Reyes, who is the counselor, to be present today, so I will intend on calling her as a witness today.
I do have someone logged in under Elizabeth Reyes. Okay, Ms. Thomas, did you have any comments before we get started?
No, Your Honor, I believe that Ms. Moore had circulated the report that was admitted into rebuttal evidence at the last week's hearing by Ms. Underwood. So other than that, I don't think anything else has been provided. And I did not intend on calling anyone else, as Ms. Underwood was going to call Ms. Reyes, and then the respective parent attorneys were going to call their clients.
Thank you. All right, Mr. McFarland, would you like to go first?
Yes, please, if my client can be sworn in.
Okay. Have your names if you could swear in. Ms. Christina Lemley, please.
Your Honor, I can tell the court I had great difficulty with her video off. May have to do that.
Our video is up currently on.
Well, thank you. Christina, just the first instruction, as we discussed, I'd like you to speak loud and slow, since you and I recognize your reception's not real great, okay?
Yes.
Thank you. Loud and clear, we hear you. You had 3 points you wanted to testify about today. What was your first point of concern?
The first item of concern that I had was going back through the
Hang on.
And
Ms. Lemley, we can only hear about every other word. Can you maybe step out of your car where you don't have that surrounding you? Maybe we can then hear you better.
yes,
Loud and slow. Your first concern was what?
my first concern or question, I know it had come up 2 or 3 hearings ago about Kenzie's behavior after visitations, and it was stated that that was going to be looked into further to see if we could figure out where that was coming from or how to, help ease that, fix that. My curiosity or question was, had anybody done any further research or evaluating into finding out any of that.
You had not heard any testimony regarding that last time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and your second question was?
An additional question I had was that I went through an entire 90-day review period where I was under the impression that I could not, go anywhere with my daughter, travel with my daughter. I had, multiple times asked if I could take her to the park. I was told no. If I wanted to take her outside of the office building, I had to surrender my car keys to a worker, and then could receive them back once I returned into the building with her, which I had no problems with, didn't fuss about. And then at my family team meeting, like 4 days before court, the supervisor informed me that if I would have had a car seat with me, I could have been leaving with her the whole time.
So your concern is that that was not brought to your attention from the beginning. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct.
That you had lost an opportunity because you weren't advised. Is that basically your point?
Yes, because I know at one point, leading up to this, the big concern has been that I'm not as far in the gaining of parenting time that I should be this far into the case. And I feel like a part of that's not my fault when I went a whole 90 days of one person telling me one thing and another person, stating later on that that was the wrong information for a whole 90 days.
Who was the supervisor at the family team meeting that instructed that you could have had parenting time if you had a vehicle?
Kristen.
You know what Kristen's last name is?
I do, and it is on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot spit it out at the moment. Long, really curly hair.
Okay. You had a third concern and last concern. What was that last concern?
My not necessarily last concern, or more so my last comment, was in when it was just my behavior and my actions upon the visitation, in which was ended early, was just, nonchalant, didn't care. I don't feel like that was a very accurate assessment of my behavior. Because the falling to pieces completely on the inside and freaking out, that's not any way to handle a situation. So I felt like there was no other way to handle that situation outside of stay calm. Clearly, I had, what was I going to do? Take her and run through the property to try and take off? I mean, there was no other option than to, bring her out front, give her to Miss Moore, and accept the fact that the situation was what it was, and there was no reason to cause problem. So I don't feel that assessment or opinion of how I acted was very accurate at all.
You believe not having an outburst was best for your child? Not having an outburst, is that what we're hearing?
Exactly, because I will say about the second that she was out of sight, I mean, I literally hit my knees in the dirt in hyperventilating tears, but she didn't need to see that. She didn't need to be drawn into that. It was already a messy enough situation as it was.
Thank you. And you're asking lastly today for the court to still pursue the guardianship which you are agreeable with, correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I have no further questions, but we'll see if anybody else has questions for you, okay?
Yep.
Okay, questions, Ms. Demis?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Lumley, as it relates to the post-visitation behavior for your child, what steps did you take to inquire as whether anything was being pursued for trying to secure more information on that issue?
I guess I don't totally understand the question.
What did you do to determine what was happening with your daughter after visits, why her behavior is different?
I had been, sitting and doing Google research on, what could be causing an infant or, young toddler to get upset after parent visitations, trying to read into it a little bit. There's not a lot of it really that I understand, not being a psychologist or a therapist myself. However, I feel like,
Ms. Lumley, did you ever reach out to the caseworker and follow up on whether a referral for any service had been made?
No, I didn't know that that was a.
And did you ever, it's a yes or no question. And did you ever reach out to your attorney to determine whether there was any legal recourse that could happen so that question could be answered?
Your Honor, I'm objecting. Attorney-client privilege would not allow my client without us discussing this to discuss what our conversations entail. She can ask if she reached out to her attorney as far as the discussions, that's confidential. And privileged, that'd be my objection.
Response?
I can move on. That's fine. And as it relates to you bringing up something, well, let me just clarify. During the last review period, so from July 8th until the incident on September 11th, were you able to take your child for unsupervised visits anywhere you wanted to go?
Yes, the period I'm speaking of is the
Yes
one
or
from
no?
April.
It's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And you were bringing up a prior review period, which I think this is what you were trying to finish, but let me just ask the questions, okay? You were bringing up a prior review period that we already had a hearing on, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And since then, that issue was remedied and you were permitted to take your child wherever you wanted, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any questions, Mr. Brooks?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood?
I have no further questions.
Okay. Any other witnesses, Mr. McFarland?
No, thank you.
Okay. We have Ms. Reyes here, who's a professional witness. Mr. Brooks, did you want to go first, or did you want to allow Ms. Reyes to testify for Ms. Underwood first? Do you mind?
No, I think that would probably be best. Let's have Ms. Reyes go first and then my client, so he can hear what she has to say.
Any objections, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. McFarland?
None.
Okay, Ms. Underwood, may I ask you to call Ms. Reyes?
Yes, I'll call Elizabeth Reyes.
Okay.
And Ms. Reyes, what is your occupation?
I am a clinical social worker.
And where is it that you currently work?
Saginaw Odyssey House.
Okay. And are you familiar with Christina Lemley?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how do you know Miss Lemley?
Well, I was aware of Miss Lemley when she was in our residential program in Flint. She attended groups that I facilitated, and we had some discussions regarding her child as well. But then when she came up to Saginaw to our outpatient program, our outpatient clinician left our program in May, and I took over that caseload. And so Christina was on my caseload, even though there was a period of time where she had been accidentally discharged from our program. And it took about a month or so to get her back into the program.
Okay. So for a period of how many months would you say that you worked with Miss Lemley?
Oh. How long I worked with her, or how long we were supposed to be working together?
Well, let's start with how long you actually worked with her.
I started seeing outpatient clients in the third week in June. I met with Christina briefly, I think a couple of times, but nothing that we really put down on paper. I can't remember the date that she left our program. But she had missed quite a few appointments in between.
Okay. Did you provide a discharge summary and transition plan to the caseworker, Ms. Moore?
Yes, I did.
Okay. In that report, you indicated that the reason for discharge was dropped out of treatment. So did Ms. Lemley successfully complete treatment at Odyssey House?
Not with our outpatient program, because she had missed too many appointments to say that.
Okay. Now, as far as, there's a couple of, it looks like drug screens that were positive for methamphetamine, one in May and one in July. Can you confirm that those were positive screens?
I can't really comment on the one in May because it happened when she had been discharged from our program. The one in July, I can comment that yes, it was positive.
Okay. And did Miss Lumley admit to using to you after the positive screen?
Yes, she did.
Okay. So it wouldn't be accurate then if Miss Lumley claimed that she tested positive because she was cleaning a former resident's room and there may have been residue. That would be inaccurate?
Yes, it would.
Based on your interactions with Miss Lumley as well as the drug screens, what would you believe her Miss Lumley's risk of relapse would be at this time?
At this time, I would say her relapse risk is very high.
Thank you. I have no further questions, but the other attorneys may.
Questions, Ms. Thomas?
Ms. Reyes, in your discharge summary, there was some information regarding maybe the current plan for Ms. Lumley. Had she discussed with you her intentions of moving back towards the Jackson area?
She did say that she was moving back into that area. Honestly, I can't tell you when it was. It was over the phone. We talked about it, and she did not provide me with a forwarding address.
Okay. And did you have any, or I mean, as a treating clinician for her, do you have any concerns about her being away from like the sober living community that she established in the Saginaw area?
Yes.
And can you summarize, I guess, based on the termination report, where she was in her treatment at the time you drafted the termination report?
Physically where she was?
I guess I'm thinking more of from a substance abuse treatment lens, maybe her stage of, like, was she in contemplation? Was she in pre-contemplation, active recovery, anything like that?
I would say she was probably back in contemplation. She went back and forth a bit, and yeah.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Mr. Brooks, any questions?
I do not.
Mr. McFarland?
What do you mean by she went back and forth? Can you tell us what that means?
It means that while she was in residential treatment, she was doing very well. Once she got into the outpatient and recovery housing, I think she was put at risk due to not having strong enough coping skills. I'm not saying that is necessarily a fault of her own. She felt she was doing what she needed to do for her child.
You don't have any proof of after she left your program of using any controlled substances, do you?
No.
Wouldn't it be true that many people who leave an inpatient program are at high risk? That's the nature of being in an inpatient program and being discharged, correct?
Many people do, yes.
Thank you. You indicated that she missed quite a few classes. Can you tell me how many classes there were and how many she missed?
I can pull out my planner and count the appointments she missed with me.
How many scheduled, do you know how many scheduled appointments she had with you? Just off the top of your head, I'm asking.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I do have them written in my planner, and we would reschedule the appointment, and then there was either a no-show or I have to work or something that came up.
And you said her starting late was not her fault. There's some scheduling snafu, if I heard you correctly, did I?
I'm sorry, starting late?
Yeah, she did. Yeah, you said there was some snafu at the beginning of some, that was not her fault, you had mentioned.
When she left residential,
No,
I said
think when
that
Go ahead.
I was saying that it wasn't her fault really that she left the residential. She felt like she was doing what she needed to do for her child. But I don't think she was ready for that move yet.
I think my question is more getting into it. There was a snafu with her getting in. Is that what I heard? That was not her fault?
She was accidentally discharged from the outpatient program, and it took about a month to get her back on.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for that clarification. I have no further questions.
Okay, Ms. Reyes, did you say that she left inpatient before she was ready or dropped out of outpatient before she was ready?
I would say both.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay,
I'm sorry?
Any redirect, Ms. Underwood?
No, Your Honor.
I do.
Go
Sorry,
ahead.
redirect or recross.
Questions based on my questions?
Yes. On your discharge paper, your summary, you did not state that she any issues with her inpatient program, right?
Correct. I was only addressing her outpatient treatment on this discharge summary.
Have you told anybody other than in court here today what you just indicated about her inpatient performance?
I think I told her that I didn't think she was really ready. I was willing to work with her, but I don't think she was ready for outpatient.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay, any other questions, Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Brooks?
No.
Very well. Thank you for your testimony. Any reason we shouldn't thank and excuse the counselor?
Fine, Your Honor.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Ms. Reyes, for your time and your testimony.
Thank you.
Okay, your client has, Ms. Christina Lemley has her Zoom hand raised.
Oh, I intend to recall her, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. Well, I think your client, I have in my notes that your client testified extensively last time as well.
It's just regarding the testimony that this worker gave, Your Honor.
I understand, but today was mostly to allow Mr. Matthew Wright to testify. And I would like to give him the opportunity to do that today. My docket is, I'm scheduled for a trial to begin at 2 o'clock.
Will we be continuing this hearing then at another date, Your Honor?
Well, we may need to,
Okay,
but
thank you.
part of, I mean, and there was a lot of reasons for the delay, but it was also in large part to allow you to have another 15-minute conversation with her before we started today. So
I do appreciate her phone wasn't working when I tried.
yes. So, and those issues have been ongoing. We've asked her to try to make sure that she can participate by Zoom. So I'd like to go to Mr. Brooks to allow Mr. Wright to testify today. Mr. Brooks, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Mr. Matthew Wright, are you ready?
Yes, but as of last week, we adjourned this for this week because it was only a 15-minute allotted time period, and I didn't feel like we were going to be able to get out what I needed to get out in 15 minutes. So when here we are with 10 minutes, that's less than that.
Okay, do you want to testify today or do you want me to look for another day?
I would like for another day.
Okay, so I have
Please.
some time. I mean, I'd like to give you at least 10 minutes to testify, Mr. Wright, today. So why don't we, Deputy Ames, please swear in Mr. Wright, and I'm going to allow Mr. Brooks to go to him, and we'll see how far we can get.
Mr. Wright, can you raise your right hand, please?
All right, Mr. Brooks.
Mr. Wright, I have read the rather lengthy email you sent some caseworker. Is that what we're going to discuss today, the things you said to her, or is this?
No, what I would like to discuss is the fact of we're going off of all this, off of the evidence of abuse or neglect that was unsubstantiated. They're wanting me to take domestic violence classes for a domestic violence that was basically proven to be untrue and that I beat in a courtroom. So I don't understand really why.
Can we stop there a minute?
Yes. Yep.
You were charged with domestic violence?
That's what started all of this.
All
is
right.
I got arrested. Yes.
All right. You were what court were you charged with domestic violence?
Okay, Mr. Brooks, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I do want to remind you that these parties are well past the adjudication standpoint. The child has been removed since June 21st, 2024. And the case services plan has been in place for several review periods. I think today is technically our let's see, fourth or fifth review perhaps. So fifth review. So if I could please make sure that you are staying within the confines of today's hearing, I would appreciate it, which is just the last report period.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, moving on, sir. What have you got on your mind to the limited time we have
those
today?
are things. And the reason why I'm bringing them up now and not before is because obviously it took this long to figure out the court processes and everything. And I am just now basically kind of getting up to speed on how this all works. So I apologize for bringing that up now and not before, but now I understand what is going on, and I understand the fact of we are going through all this off of something that wasn't even a thing. Like it didn't even happen. So so I don't understand why Kenzie didn't even come to me when Christy went to jail. Why was I not given guardianship of my daughter? Because no one substantiated the evidence. All they did was talk to Christy's parents, her father, that was in on the false allegations.
Well, so you were never convicted of a thing?
No.
So you're asking the court now why you didn't get your child back at that point?
Yeah.
And you haven't gotten the child back since that point?
Nope. And the
And
reason
so
I
in
don't.
the last 3 months, you have not had the child with you. Is that right?
Well, other than when Christy brought her over to my house.
All right. My next question, following up on that observation from you, is this. The report that I'm reading says you have not participated in any of the case service plan that was designed for you. Are you aware of that?
Yes. Then there are reasons behind that.
What are the reasons?
One is, like I said, they want me to take a bunch of domestic violence stuff for a domestic violence that never happened. So that, I don't understand why that's even there. And honestly, the other stuff is, I don't agree with it because this is all, I mean, none of this should even be in court right now because, there was no evidence of fucking any of
Okay,
violence.
Mr. Wright, I'm not going to tolerate profanity this afternoon.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm a little worked up on this. But there's no proof of any violence or anything like that. The one allegation was proven to be false, and they're going off of a false statement, which originated all of this off of somebody that's already biased towards me.
I just want to clarify something else for the record for you, Mr. Brooks and Mr. Wright. So the adjudication order reflects that back in July of 2024, that Mr. Wright entered a no contest plea to the allegations in the petition, which would mean that the allegations in the petition were taken and used to craft the case services plan. So I just wanted to make sure that the record was clear on that point, Mr. Brooks, as far as moving forward on relevant questioning.
As I recall, I was not present that day, but someone had to sit in for me, but I could be wrong. But then to get back to you, sir.
Yes.
No, wait, I want to say something to you so you get it.
Yep.
I understand that you don't believe that there's been substantiated claims that justify your case service plan. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Now, once a court has made a ruling, there is no need for anybody to agree or disagree with what the court has ordered. It must be obeyed. Do you understand that?
Yes, but can I chime in on my part? When I made that basically no contest, I hadn't gone to my court stuff for the domestic, so I couldn't say, hey, I didn't do this. But after that, I mean, so you guys kind of railroaded me into a corner where I had no choice but to stand no contest or say no contest.
Well, you had more than one option, sir. You could have pled responsible, not responsible, or no contest. Do you understand that?
I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what the no contest is, right? No, not guilty.
No, it's not at all. It's just the opposite. It means the court can treat the no contest plea as a guilty plea. Just the opposite of what you just said.
we go back to the beginning and restart this? Because obviously it
No,
needs to be
right ahead,
changed because
Judge.
I didn't do
We've
anything.
gone way farther beyond what we've needed to go for at this point. We're testifying to things that happened over a year ago. My notes indicate that Mr. Wright's rights were discussed and put on the record at
Were
that hearing,
violated.
and he still chose to
They were
proceed.
violated.
And so, again, I believe we are far beyond the scope of the last review.
Yes,
Your
Mr.
Honor,
Brooks, do
may
you have
I-
any questions? Sorry, go ahead,
May-
Ms. Thomas.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I just want to clarify for the record. This is really bothering me. Mr. Wright actually had a bench trial in which he testified on his own behalf. On July 26, 2024, Mom had taken a no contest plea and Dad had asserted his right to a bench trial. At that time, he didn't know Kenzie's birth date. He asserted that Mom was beat up by some other guy, and that's how CPS got involved. He admitted to using meth and would have used a couple of days prior from the trial. He was still living at a fifth wheel on a friend's property. He had a tree trimming service, but no license. There's just so much that we have in the record. And I just don't think it's appropriate for a review portion. And he's clearly not been paying attention and or intoxicated to the extent that he doesn't remember what's happening. And I think that we're wasting the court's resources at this point in time, unless he has something to say about what's happening in the last review period.
And for the record, I'm going to review that as well. This looks like this was a case that started with Judge Anzalone. And it may have actually been a bench trial in front of her. It doesn't look like I don't know. This is very strange. There's a lot of signatures from Judge Anzalone, but I'll review the record and make sure that the adjudication order is correct. But I do have, at least in the adjudication order as it relates to Mom, that father's bench trial was requested and was scheduled for July 26th. So that is pretty consistent with what you're laying on the record today.
And Your Honor, you did sign an adjudication order for Dad on July 26th. It looks like it was entered into the record or stamped on July 29th. And you did indicate that by preponderance of the evidence after a trial, the statutory grounds were met.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything for the record as far as what got us here for Mr. Wright back in July of 2024?
Only thing I want to know is, are you going to schedule another hearing for him to continue talking about what's on his mind?
Mr. Brooks, if there's anything that he wants to testify to as far as the last court report, now would be the opportunity to do that. But I am not going to allow any further exploration into what happened in the summer of 2024. So if you'd like to lead him through any questions on that point, I'd like him to go through that, because I'm not going to reschedule this simply to allow him to talk about things that are inadmissible anyway for purposes of today's court review.
Did you understand what the court said, sir?
Yeah, basically don't bring up what has happened prior to the last review. So I do have something to bring up on that. Miss Moore is constantly making the allegation basically that I frighten her or whatever it is, where she won't meet with me or won't come to my residence and all this, and I'm out of control. But when she came and took my child, I mean, that would have been a prime moment to see exactly how I am at that point, to where I'm,
3 months
mad
ago,
or
sir.
upset. And I did nothing, just like
Sir.
I always do. I walked away because
Sir.
there's no point in making a big thing of it.
Sir, the judge wants to
Yes.
hear what you have to say about the last 3 months. And what you're mentioning.
Yeah, that happened in the last 3 months.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know that. Do you recall when that happened?
It was, I don't remember the exact date, but it was about a month
Roughly.
ago.
All right. So it's in the last 30
Yeah,
days.
roughly.
All right.
Yeah.
And what did she say?
I'd say maybe a little bit over it, but yeah.
What did the caseworker say about you? That you what?
Just basically like how, well, obviously she, basically states like I am, and I don't know if she states it in her paperwork or whatever, but that's why she won't basically come to my residence and do whatever testing and the DNA and all that.
Well, what
They need to
behavior
do,
did she describe?
and she won't do the home visit thing. She wouldn't come through the gate. Well, she's described it as she doesn't know what she's walking into, and you know, basically that she feels unsafe.
I see. Do you have any opinion as to why she would think that?
Yeah, it would be the biased opinions of Christy's family, or her father mainly, and the allegations that started all of this. Really, I've never given her a reason to feel like that towards me.
That was going to be my next question. Was there anything in your demeanor or your words that could have been interpreted as threatening?
Now probably other than nothing violent or anything like that, other than the fact of I want to see her in jail for basically taking my child from me or kidnapping her. But I mean, other than that, no, nothing out of means of the law.
Okay. So because the judge apparently is not going to give us that additional time in a week or so, is there any other point you want to bring up that has not been brought up by anyone else?
Just like the fact of basically with Kenzie being with Jason and Dawn, she's being alienated from basically my entire family because they won't let my family have anything to do with them.
Remind me whose family they're with.
They're with Christina's family.
All right, moving on. Go ahead.
So basically, like my mother, her maternal grandmother, like she would love to see her granddaughter and be part of her life, but she cannot due to this. And it's because they are, they basically how they want it, and then how they want it since me and Christina got together is to write me off as dead and just to push me under the rug.
So they're not cooperating with your extended family to maintain that relationship. Is that right?
Right. And like her mother, I'm supposed to be able to see my other two children that's with her mother once a week. And I can't even make a phone call to her because if I do, she'll just hang up the phone. So, and they're through Hillsdale County. So she's not even following the court order that's in place. So, I mean, what do I do here?
Have you tried going back to court and complaining about her behavior?
I have not yet, but I mean, it's obviously she doesn't care what the law says because she's not following the judge's order now. So what really good is that going to do?
They might yank the children away from her.
But at that point, where do they go? Do they put them in with somebody they don't know?
You're adding things there that we're not talking about. You ask what the potential remedies would be. I told you, and I told you the sort of threat hanging over her head.
Yes, and this whole thing is about the well-being of our children, correct? So
I'm objecting to dialogue. This is really not an opportunity for dialogue. It's questions and answers.
Right.
This is the problem with court. You can't ever really get what you got to say out, and it's never really a thing to where anybody can understand exactly what's going on.
Mr. Wright, please stop. So the problem I think that we're having here at the moment is that these are questions that would have been appropriate for you to speak to your attorney about in an attorney-client privileged context, so that you can get your questions answered before you come to court.
My attorney doesn't call me, doesn't get in touch.
Okay, Mr. Wright, no more interruptions, please. You've had your attorney's information for a significant period of time. I'm not going to entertain disparagement of Mr. Brooks on the record either. There's an order for supervised parenting time. So no, the relative would not be authorized to take any phone calls, any unauthorized phone calls. The only parenting time that your client's offered right now, Mr. Brooks, is a reintroduction parenting time program through Renee Moore because he's been absent. So I'm going to ask you to move on to something else if there's anything else, or to simply reschedule something so that you and your client can walk through where he's at in the case right now, so you can take a better look at things on a different day for a review. And I'll offer an accelerated review to everybody. How about that?
Moving on, sir. What other issues do you want to address to the court?
Honestly, I guess none, because it's not going to make a difference. Obviously, I've seen that now. So
I don't recommend you take that tack, sir. What other issues do you want to bring up with the court?
Okay, so I'm in Lenawee County now. I have been for months now. I do not have transportation. I do not have a license. I don't really have any friends. I have barely any family here. So it's hard for me to get around. What can we do other than a gas card to help that become a thing to where I can go to these appointments?
My advice on that to you, sir, is contact your caseworker and work.
I have.
Oh,
That's all in the text center.
it's all in the what?
The messages I sent to Macy, caseworker. That's all in there.
All right.
I've mentioned it over and over again, multiple times throughout this whole thing. What can we do to help with transportation to get to these things?
Uh-huh. And what was the response?
A gas card, $25 gas card.
Without a car to put it in.
Yep.
Okay. So what you're saying, if I can summarize, is you have a real and present problem and which they have offered no viable alternatives. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
What is the next issue you want to bring up?
That's it.
Well, we might ask one more. When you were saying that your attorney never called you back, are you referring to me?
I have called the office a couple times, but I didn't receive a call back. Yes, but that was months and months and months ago. So that's irrelevant now.
I see. Do you have a case going in Hillsdale County as well?
There's a guardianship in place with Christina's mother. At the moment, yes. Other than that,
nothing to do with me, right?
no, it has nothing to do with you, and it has nothing to do with Lenawee Court.
All right. What would you like to see done that's not happening at this point in time?
I would like to revise what they want out of me, because it also states in their stuff that they want me to do in order for me to have visits with Kenzie is to obtain a car and a license, and I can't obtain a license for another year. And I mean, obtaining the car thing, I mean, I did that. That's how I got the driving unsuspended. That's what was me trying to do what I had to do for the court.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so now I got that over my head. Like, I don't, you guys, like, I'm in a spot where I'm damned if I do and damned if I don't, because to get to these places, I'm going to have to drive. That's the only other way other than, figuring something out. And in doing that, I'm breaking the law. So, I mean, I don't understand. Is the court telling me to go ahead and break the law to do what they want me to do, or?
No, they're not.
So then what option do I have?
Okay.
Again, this is a conversation you probably need to have with your client, not on YouTube, not in the middle of a court hearing, Mr. Brooks. So I would invite you to move on to something else or reschedule. I'm going to offer everybody an accelerated review if it works on their calendars for December 1st at 1:30 p.m.
What else is on your mind, sir, that could improve the situation?
That's it. That's it.
Well, let me suggest what I think I hear that you haven't said it, but I can see it's where you kind of like to go. You'd like a review of the case service plan, which you don't think fits your circumstances very well at all.
Correct.
Which might change a whole lot of things.
Yes, sir, it would.
That I heard. With that, I'm going to move on and say I have no further questions.
Hey, cross-examination, Ms. Thomas.
No, Your Honor.
Any questions, Mr. McFarland?
You have a bicycle, sir? Mr. Wright, do you have a bicycle? Did you lose him, Your Honor?
He's logged in. Mr. Wright, did you hear the question? Okay, maybe he's having issues with the signal at this point, but he hasn't had any so far. Mr. Wright, can you hear us?
Yeah. Yes, I can.
Okay, Mr. McFarland has a question for you.
Do you have a bicycle?
Yes.
You're sitting in the driver's seat of a car right now, aren't you?
Yep. And I did state that I obtained the car. That's how I got the driving unsuspended.
Nothing further.
Any questions, Ms. Underwood?
Are you in a vehicle with Miss Lumley right now?
No.
Okay.
But hey, nobody in the vehicle.
So you say you don't have a vehicle, but you do. Is there nobody that can transport you with
No.
the gas card that you're provided?
I did not state that I didn't own a vehicle. I own a vehicle, but I have no license to drive the vehicle. So the vehicle sits on my property now. That's what I stated.
And you're not willing to take any accountability for your lack of participation in this case service plan over the last 3 months or even a year?
Hello?
Your Honor, at this point, I just won't ask any more questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Did you have any other witnesses, Mr. Brooks?
No.
Okay. Mr. McFarland, let's go ahead with the recalling or rebuttal of your client if you'd like to for now.
Thank you.
I'd like to try to finish today.
Ms. Lemley, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Ms. Lemley, you remain under oath. Go ahead, Mr. McFarland.
Can you turn your camera on and just pan around for us?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Did you wish to respond to your former counselor's? Take your sunglasses off first because we're in court.
She's driving. Ms. Lemley, we're going to need you to pull over.
Okay.
If you want to continue participating, I'm not going to allow you to do that while you're actively driving the car.
Okay, I said I'm about to pull into my work parking lot right now.
Sorry, Your Honor, I did not notice that.
Oh, well, I don't even think we would have known unless you asked her to pan around.
I'm sitting at the red light that's on the corner at my work. So as soon as I can get through this red light, I can turn into work.
Okay, Mr. McFarland, are you going to have any other witnesses?
No.
Ms. Underwood? No, Your Honor. Ms. Thomas?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, so after Ms. Lemley is finished, assuming there's nothing else that's triggered by her testimony, we'll go ahead and conclude today's review. Is everyone available on that December 1st date at 1:30?
I'll be there.
Sorry. That's okay. That's why I asked. While we're waiting for Ms. Lemley, let's look at calendaring.
I'm available on the 2nd for that month, but the 3rd to the 5th I'll be on as well if you're looking at any of those dates.
Tuesday, December 9th at 10 o'clock for 2 hours.
I'm available.
At what time, Your Honor?
10 o'clock from 10 to 12. I'd like to budget 2 hours to make sure that we get everybody's testimony.
What was that date and time?
12/9 at 10 for our next review. Okay. That'll be our 6th review and permanency planning hearing. Ms. Lemley, we're waiting for you to let us know that you're in a spot where you can safely testify.
Yep, as soon as these cars right here pass, I'm turning in.
Your Honor, this is one of the reasons I don't like Zoom. It trivializes what we're doing here.
I mean,
And I apologize. I could not afford to miss another day of work.
Your Honor, I am taking a look at my calendar as I occasionally have cases with Judge Angelo. That was December what date?
9th at 10 o'clock. So first December, correct.
That's fine, Your Honor.
Good.
Okay, I am parked.
Thank you. Christina, it sounds as though you wish to respond to what your counselor said, correct?
Yes.
This is your opportunity. What's the first issue you disagreed with her testimony?
It actually was not my first biggest thing was not what she said. Miss Underwood had confused or misunderstood something I had said. I did not tell the court that the June or July dirty drug test that they are submitting. I did not tell the court that was from cleaning another resident's room. I was not even in housing at that point, so I would not have been in a resident's room. That situation in which I was referring to in my previous testimony happened back in December.
So are you agreeing that what the witness said is true, that you said that you did relapse and took meth? Is that what you're saying?
The one. But
Okay,
Miss Underwood, situation. She put two separate situations into the same situation.
So there's only one time that you actively took, and that was in July. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you wish to clarify anything else your counselor testified about?
When she stated the fact that I personally missed all of the appointments, I did go back through my text messages. There were 3 separate appointments that she had contacted me to reschedule that never did or canceled last minute. And then she was the one that also said that I didn't have to come to the office. We could do our sessions over the phone. And so I assumed that when we were doing over the phone sessions, that those counted as sessions. She was also aware that the nights that groups were, I had to work. We discussed that right at the beginning of me being in outpatient. And then there were, when she said, you know, I wasn't real, that we had a little very brief conversation about me moving back to Jackson. She never mentioned anything about me not being ready. She was actually helping me look places up to move to in Jackson. And yes, that was a plan I was working on, being in contact with the Jackson store, transferring my job and everything. And so I guess there's a lot of things that she said here that, you know, she acted or said things totally differently face to face with me than the way that she just described and answered questions here.
Do you have any response to her saying you left the inpatient prematurely?
No, because her and I had quite a few conversations about the fact that, and even you and I had conversation about the fact that the distance between my daughter and me is a problem, clearly. You know, with the transportation with her, it is a problem. So everyone's recommendation and what CPS wanted is me to move back closer to her. I had multiple conversations with her about, you know, it makes me very nervous to move back to that hometown to be right back on my hamster wheel. You know, multiple times did we talk about these things. And so I told her, you know, I'm not really ready to just up and disappear out of all of this. And she said that, you know, everything would be okay, just reestablish myself with, you know, she encouraged me the best that, you know, I thought she could. Never one time did she tell me, I think you're making a big mistake.
Thank you. Okay. Would that be the totality of what you want the court to hear? Would you agree?
Yes, and then just to clarify that Miss Underwood was taking like 3 separate occasions and mixing them into one.
Thank you for that clarification. I have no further questions. We'll see if any other attorneys have questions for you.
Cross-examination, Ms. Thomas.
None, Your Honor.
Mr. Brooks.
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Underwood.
Okay, so let's get this straight then, Ms. Lumley. You indicated then that you tested positive in December 2024 for meth?
No, I did not say that. I did not say I tested positive for meth at all.
Okay, but you indicated that I was misstating what you said. So when we asked about 2 positive drug screens that were in May and July of 2025, you testified that you got those retested and that they were exposure levels, and that was likely due to you cleaning another person's room. Is that inaccurate?
Yes, that is inaccurate. What I said was that those 2 that came back of this year were sent back to the lab. They came back as an exposure level positive. It doesn't matter if it's an exposure level or a use level, it's still a positive drop. However, there's in the recovery world, there is a difference between a use level positive and an exposure level positive.
Okay, so then did you use then, I'm asking you, did you use in May of 2025 methamphetamine?
No, I did not use them then.
Okay, then how did you test positive?
That came back as an exposure level positive.
Okay, so how would you have been exposed to methamphetamine when you were in rehab?
Being anywhere, being on the bus systems, being at the shelters where I do community service. There's all kinds of places that you can be exposed to it.
Okay, and then the same would be on July 15th of 2025 when you tested positive. Was that also exposure level?
Your Honor, she already testified. She tested that was a consumption. I
just want to look really quick in here.
Well, Mr.
Ask an answer.
Do I have a Halloween? Yes, we have 2.
Okay, Ms. Bresnan, you accidentally, I'm sure accidentally came unmuted, and we've got enough to try to get through here this afternoon, so please be careful of that.
My objection is asked and answered, Your Honor. I asked her that very simple.
Well, I'd like to give her the opportunity to clarify with Ms. Underwood, since she is,
I'll withdraw that.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to overrule it if you did. Go ahead.
So did you use in July of 2025 then?
No,
You just admitted to, when being questioned by Mr. McFarland, that you relapsed in July. So is that an inaccurate statement?
in the recovery world, any positive test is a relapse.
Okay, so then Ms. Reyes is lying when she indicated that you admitted to use for the July 15th of 2025 test?
I'm not saying that she's necessarily lying, maybe misinterpreting or misunderstanding something that I had said.
Okay, now you indicated in the last hearing that you did not have a vehicle to get to your colors screenings. However, you're driving now. So are you able to make it to your colors when you're called?
This I've borrowed. My vehicle is not legal yet.
But you can borrow cars to get to work, but you can't borrow cars to do your drug tests?
Very, very, very rarely can I borrow a car to get back and forth to work. And that's not a scheduling thing. That's not a call up randomly in the morning and say, oh, hey, I got to do this. This I had made arrangements for a special occasion because I was attempting to come down there to be there for court. But after talking to my boss, I could not miss any more work. So I had to come to work.
No further questions.
Okay. Let's head to comments and closing, beginning with Ms. Thomas.
Thank you, Your Honor. At this time, I believe that it's appropriate to ask for a goal change to adoption. I do not believe that guardianship is appropriate given the age of the child and given the lack of either engagement from the parents and or benefit from services from the parents. I think that this child deserves permanency and stability and finality. We do not have two parents who seem to be committed to addressing the issues that cause the child to come into care. It does not seem that there's even a baseline understanding of what's happening is really into their worlds. And I think that their credibility is very questionable at this point in time. Your Honor, Ms. Moore has definitely made reasonable efforts to assist this family in reunification. We've seen, based on their conduct and capacity, the lack of ability to work truthfully and or honestly or safely within this system. There's a lot of lack of accountability and deflecting and blaming others for the current situation in which these parents find themselves. However, that's not the child's fault. And I think that at this point in time, Your Honor, I know that we've already scheduled or have on penciled in an accelerated review. At which juncture I don't know that we would have time to, if the court does order us to file a petition at this point in time, I don't know that that would be the date and time we could hear a termination hearing, or have a hearing on a termination petition. However, I think that's forthcoming. The current family placement is providing the child with everything that she needs, and that this child's also getting exposure to half siblings. And so I just think that what's happening apart from the parents is beneficial for the child at this time. And I look forward to any updates and hopefully maybe a turnaround for these parents. But I just, based on the report that we have from the Odyssey House, Ms. Reyes' testimony, Ms. Lemley today has impeached herself based on testimony from the last hearing, which is, easily on YouTube. And then she also impeached herself again in this hearing. I think Ms. Reyes really was correct when she said, maybe mom is still in the contemplative stage of recovery rather than an active recovery. So with that, Your Honor, I just ask for the continuation of placement, continue ordering the parents into the case service plan. I know that there's a lot of complaints from the parents about transportation. However, that is just one element of it. And there are several ways in which our parents who struggle with transportation do engage in services. I believe that we have a very competent team from the private agency that can assist with referrals. I think it's just a matter of communication. And while the department, the agencies have a duty to provide those reasonable efforts, the parents have an equal responsibility to comply with and engage in those services as well. And as I always say, our county and this court particularly demands active efforts from our caseworkers. And I believe that's what we always get. And this is more than just a monthly check-in and sending a name and number of a place where parents can call to engage in services, which is technically all that the law requires from us. So I think that at this point in time, we've done what we can from the agency's perspective, and there's just failure to benefit. And there's, I think it's time to shift completely towards a goal of adoption. Thank you.
Comments, Mr. Brooks?
Well, based on what I'm hearing from my client, I wish he and I had communicated more closely quite some time ago, and I would have attacked this case service plan back when it was really and truly more appropriate. And I guess that's what I intend to do now, is file a motion to review that case service plan, which, based on what he's telling me, doesn't really fit his circumstances at all. I also would have corrected his misapprehension that the fact that he doesn't agree with some of this stuff is irrelevant once it's an order of the court. If he and I were talking, he would have known that. But I will be filing a motion to review the case service plan before the next hearing.
Mr. McFarland?
Well, Your Honor, I asked Ms. Moore, until the incident with the dog, if the agency was on track with my client's desire for guardianship. The answer was yes. It was the issue of my client being there, having your child introduced to the dog at the residence of Mr. Wright was the turning point. It wasn't the testimony, the discharge summary of the counselor. All this is obtainable. It was probably knowledgeable by the agency. It was past history. Despite that, my client was having unsupervised visits, Your Honor. I think her testimony is credible when she says that she's not at a point right now where it'd be fair to the child to have the child back, but she is on board with a guardianship. So why would she lie about that and then lie about what's happened with the dog? That doesn't make sense. Mr. Wright's in Adrian, in Lenawee County with the dog. She wanted to make sure the child is going to be, the dog is going to be appropriate with the child. She made a serious lapse in judgment. We agree on that, Your Honor. She agrees on that, Your Honor, in retrospect. But it was not her intention to violate the court order. If it weren't for that, this hearing would not be a question, it doesn't sound, of termination or not putting that on. We are asking that the goal remains guardianship. We're not asking for reunification because she's acknowledging that guardianship is in the best interest of the child, that goal continue as the agency had desired it to continue prior to that incident, that my client's unsupervised parenting time resume, but with her giving an exact itinerary. This is what she's going to be doing each and every hour of the day. So we know exactly where she is, what the expectations are. If there's a telephone call or they call her, she's going to pick up and pan around. I think there may have been perhaps some questions in everybody's mind. Is she with Mr. Wright right now? That's why I asked her to specifically pan around to prove that she is separate from him. She's not with him, that she's learned her lesson. I think her testimony is very credible that she would have exploded, that she didn't explode, because that was not appropriate for the child when this happened, but she was emotional, and I think that's inappropriate. So we are asking that if the court does reject the guardianship, that'd be a dual goal of termination and or guardianship if the court goes that route. But obviously our request today is for guardianship to remain on schedule, at least until we come to our next hearing. Thank you.
Ms. Underwood.
Your Honor, it's unfortunate that we're in the circumstance that we are right now. However, it is my job to advocate for the best interest of this child and for permanency for her. She has been in care with relatives for over a year now, since she was a baby. And with respect to Mr. Wright, he has done absolutely nothing to provide for her or to work his case service plan, despite several attempts from the department and attempts to engage in the services. It's easy to play the blame game, but again, whether he was convicted of issues or not, of crimes or not, the issues are still relevant to this case. As far as Ms. Lemley goes, I would say that we were all very hopeful that there was positive progress being made in her case. However, it is clear that there has been a backslide in the last review period. Unfortunately, Miss Lumley got caught having the child around Mr. Wright. She purposely went there. She took the child there, didn't let Miss Moore know, even though she's supposed to provide an itinerary of what she's doing for each parenting time. And again, we can call it a lapse in judgment, but again, there is no way a parent would believe that that's acceptable. And the excuse about a dog and making sure that they got along, why would that be a thought in anybody's mind? When
no more interruptions, Mr. Wright, you've had your opportunity to
Well,
participate.
everybody make it.
I would recommend you reach out to your attorney before the next review. Go ahead.
when that was even a thought in her mind when a guardianship
No, hold on.
Mr. Wright, if you can't stop interrupting, I'm gonna have to excuse you from the meeting and you can just watch the remainder of it on YouTube. Please don't unmute again.
Your Honor, the fact that the dog was even a priority at that point just shows where Miss Lumley's priorities lie. And again, I just think it's an excuse to get out of what happened. But again, Miss Lumley was impeaching herself and being dishonest on the stand, talking about exposure levels. She's continued to miss drug screens since she's been put on colors. However, she's able to have a vehicle when she needs to get places that she wants to go. But her e-bike can't get her to do her drug screens. Since her unsupervised visits were taken, the department has offered her supervised visitations, which she has chosen to not participate in, as well as she's had the ability to FaceTime the child with placement and has not attempted to do so once since she was caught at Mr. Wright's home. Again, I think the priorities are misconstrued here, and I would encourage Miss Lumley to take a good look in the mirror to determine, really what's going on here. And if she does need help, then she needs to admit that and get back into treatment so that maybe it's not too late for her to get her life together and get her kids back. Placement does allow this child to have regular visitation with her two full siblings who are in guardianship with another relative. I believe that permanency should be the goal here, and that should be adoption at this point. There's just a lot that's been going on that is contrary to this child's best interest, especially with respect to dad. Again, we're no further than we were a year and a half ago, approximately. And again, Miss Lumley's priorities seem to be in the wrong place right now. And again, it's in this child's best interest to pursue permanency, which I believe would be adoption in this case, Your Honor. She's currently in the least restrictive and best environment for her, and she is too young to express a preference as to where she would like to be at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. The court finds all interested parties are given notice for purposes of today's review and permanency planning hearing. The child in this case was born in January of 2024. And she's very young. She was removed from the care of parents June 21st, 2024. That means she's been in an out-of-home placement for over 15 months. And at this point, the court has to look at what it means for this child moving forward and what's in her best interest, and whether or not it would appear that either parent would be able to continue successfully towards reunification in order to provide a safe and secure home for her, drug-free, criminality-free, and that would meet her needs. Mr. Wright has not been engaged in his case services plan for some time, including the last 3 months. I carefully reviewed the text messages that were provided today by Ms. Moore because of her concerns on how Mr. Wright was addressing her, and she felt threatened by those. His request to have the case services plan revisited, I think will have to be handled very carefully by Catholic Charities, considering the content of these text messages, which, by the way, do not ask for assistance with transportation, but do certainly seem to contain several different ways of letting Ms. Moore know what he thinks of her, to be polite about it, as well as what he'd like to see happen to her. Different ways she could meet her demise in different paragraphs. So, if Mr. Wright reaches out to you to do that, Ms. Moore, I would ask you to actively engage Mr. Brooks in that process. And Mr. Brooks, I would ask you to be present during any family team meeting or team decision making, whatever you're calling it, sorry. So that you can try to help Mr. Wright navigate that space safely, both for himself and for Ms. Moore, if he does want to revisit that case services plan. But I would note that at this point, we're 15 months in. There was an adjudication held. He did admit to substance use at that point and to criminality. He was incarcerated at the time the petition was filed. There's an active warrant out for his arrest at this point. There's no information on housing, employment, or progress in any other areas of his case services plan. And there does not appear to be any effort to reconnect with his daughter through the reunification opportunity given to him that's been outstanding for, I think, at least 2 review periods. So there's certainly a significant risk of harm associated with returning his child to his care right now. There has been, and there does not appear to be any movement whatsoever on those case services plans that would allow us to return the child to his care. As it relates to Ms. Lemley, there was a lot of very concerning testimony across the 2 days of this review and permanency planning hearing that was inconsistent. I sincerely hope that she is still in her recovery and that she can show that through some drug screening. The testimony by Ms. Reyes today was very concerning also, that she had abandoned her rehabilitation efforts early, both through inpatient as well as outpatient. That was actually new information that came to the court's attention today. The excuses about testing positive for exposure levels that could be contaminated from anywhere is simply incredible. And I do agree with Ms. Underwood that there are significant concerns at this point about what's actually happening with Ms. Lemley in her recovery. But nevertheless, at this point, she has appeared to make some progress in some areas, but again, we don't have anything from a current counselor. We heard that she didn't complete counseling services with Ms. Reyes. So there's a lot of outstanding areas of concern still with Ms. Lemley. She herself today has shared with us that she supports a goal of guardianship. The child is very young. She's very comfortable where she is. She's doing well there. And the fact that Ms. Lemley cannot provide for Ms. Wright, admittedly at this point, simply leaves it to the court and the professionals to determine what is the best course of action for her daughter moving forward, and that is adoption. She's very close with her relative caregivers. Neither parent is proving to be a resource to this child at this point. If I were to consider guardianship, I would look at whether or not these parents have an investment or a bond with their child in a positive way that would help her to grow. At the last visit, Ms. Lemley's decision to take the child to Mr. Wright ended up with, and to lie about it directly before she went there, to Ms. Moore, and then to try to blame it on the dog is remarkable. The child came back very unclean, and we have evidence of that as well. We know Mr. Wright is not in active recovery. We know Ms. Lemley is at significant risk of relapse. There's just so many concerns here in allowing these parents to even continue to have contact with this child because of the liberties that they're taking with her. She needs to be in a safe and stable home, free of domestic violence, free of substance use, and free of things that will compromise her ability to grow into a responsible adult, as Ms. Underwood put it. So there's a lot of reasons, but those are the main ones that the court is considering in changing the goal to adoption moving forward. I am going to leave the December 9th date on the books. If the termination petition is timely filed and served by the department, we'll conduct the trial as part of that next review and permanency planning hearing. In the meantime, the child will remain in her relative placement. That is certainly the safest and least restrictive under the circumstances. We'll have plenty of time for the review, even if it doesn't also encompass a hearing on a petition for termination of parental rights, but the order will reflect that that has been directed by the court today. I'm certainly fine Ms. Moore in satisfaction for applications, Ms. Underwood and our advocates. Thank you everyone for your time, efforts, and testimony today. Good luck to everyone between now and when we come back in December. Unless there's any questions, that's all for today.
One question. For termination, the petition had to be filed in the statutory time frame, correct? Right?
Timely filed and served is how I like to phrase it.
Thank you.
Any other questions?